may not be able to get in on the hurling action like we're used to, but we can get in on some exclusive offers from Renault. To celebrate their third year as official car partner of the GAA, Renault is offering a range of special offers exclusive to all GAA club members. So now you can take home the win right to your door. Check out renault.ie/GAA to find out more.
With Renault, official car partner of the GAA, taking the passion of a nation to a whole new gear.
A grain of rice, a grain of rice is going to tip the scale. Just remember that, lads.
There's a small bit of a needle there.
Now, come on, Mayo, you've got to get Andy Moran into the game.
Our mission was to show that we're no longer the whipping boys of Munster.
You're welcome to the home of hurling, the theatre of dreams.
No, but
TJ's not too happy with that, but how you all folks? Different show tonight, live, so we have to be a bit more careful, but we're good at that. We have a great panel for you lads. We have the two Lachicos as usual, but we also have the Glen Rovers legend, Seánie McGrath. Seánie, how are you?
I'm good, Dalo. How are you, boy?
I'm all right. A lot of people would think, Seánie, that we'd be enemies on the field and off the field. Yeah. We were actually mates on the field and off the field, weren't we?
We didn't have a great start.
I went into
Frank Lohan. I was in there for 30 seconds, and Lohan said, Dalo says, look after that little whore inside there. And I says, 5 foot 2 bonus brass. You come in there, Dalo, I thought you up next.
Then we were putting on all sorts of bets about who'd get more points, and your points are worth more than mine. And do you know what? The people are mad, Johnny. You know, I remember being on a holiday then later on the year, one of the years, 98, with Clarecastle. Some fella came up to me and said, "You're some tramp, like, or whatever, what you said to Seánie McGrath, like, you know." Yeah. And I said, "You know Seánie McGrath, like?" Yeah. He said, I know him personally, like. Yeah. A club in North Cork, like. I said, "Will you ring him when you go home and just ask him to ever say anything nasty to him or anything like that?" It was usually a bit of crack and a bit of banter. Yeah. And we wound up getting you married in Clare and all that. So that was all good.
I got it from the Fuller Road.
That's it. How are you lads?
Good, Dalo.
TJ, you're nice and calm looking there.
Nice and calm, yeah. Sure, it's a great week. As you said about the banter there, I heard Richie Bennis there during the week on about the GAA and the banter and how unique it is because it's so local and it's so community based, and you all know the guy playing for your club, and the fact that it's, I suppose, Limerick and Cork going to Dublin, it's something really different. And I suppose those border places that you're going to talk about in a while, you know, the crack is really good. Nothing too over the top, but just real good banter and just.
I suppose if it wasn't the times that were in it, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, to be ferocious like around. I will say today now, I was probably at my leisure a little bit, obviously knowing we to be on the ball tonight and things, but I said I'd take my time now. It's the longest drive to Cork I ever had. We had a few long drives home now after being tipped down there. Stuck in traffic like and stuff. But I said I'd go into Limerick City first of all. Back out the old Cork Road, and even though the road was trying to bring me back onto the motorway about 3 times, I said I'm going into my old sparring partners, the Well, and like the colour there, and then on down Charleville. And like every business person in Charleville is on the ball, I tell you, because none of them have a Cork flag out or a Limerick flag out. They have both out.
And that's the banter there. That's what makes the GAA, and it's been a magic week for the GAA. Like whether it was Mayo basically kicking things off, or basically the whole Duignan story getting involved in county chairmanship, and then the whole Shane Lowry getting involved in sponsorship, and there's nearly a message there, and even the Meath ladies kind of kicking on, and I know they beat Cork.
You weren't going to mention the Cork 20s.
No, I'm going to mention the Cork. I'll get to that. But the whole good feel factor about the GAA in all facets, and there's something there for every club and maybe every county all over the country. And what happened, I think, in the last week. So that's kind of the romance that is kind of us entrenched in this GAA piece for a long, long time, and that's where the banter is. And that's why I'm in between the two of these.
Are you slightly concerned, maybe, TJ, that it might be the empire might be starting to fall?
I'd always be concerned.
Do you know, I'd like to see the way two of us happen to be in the centre here tonight.
We'll get to that.
Myself and Seánie were always wingmen. We were always central characters.
He had a bit of pace.
Like the break between Fernie McCormack and McMahon, and see who's on it first, and let himself and Law battle away, or himself and Baker battle away over the middle, and TJ both full back then.
Or full forward.
Leather and the streaker. Get off the field, like, you know. But lads, it is a magic week, and I think since the championship started, I think in 1887, I would say this is the best week in GAA, Seánie. And there's something magic about the Friday night.
Yeah.
There's something magic about the Saturday night. There can be something magic or very low about the Sunday.
Yeah.
And there's something great about the Monday too at times, and often the Tuesday. Like, it's just a unique hurling time, and we treasure it, and to be part of it at one time in our life.
Yeah. It's lethal, I suppose. Myself and Mark, down this part of the woods. Obviously, the last couple of years, we've been going to matches, looking at the Tipperaries, Limericks, Waterfords, all the other counties contesting. You kind of forget a little bit the romance and the glamour that goes with All-Ireland Final Day. You know, it has probably taken a little bit with COVID. You know, some of the bunting and flags around the city probably aren't as prevalent as they've been in other years. But I was up at the club last night, I'm doing our intermediate team, and the place was alive. You know, the whole club was... Just when you fellas involved as well, TJ mentioned the whole...
Is that Blackrock now or the Glen?
hey!
Thought you were living down these parts.
I crossed the river when I always be a Norrie.
Your man Reggie mightn't like that.
With a £3.4 million mansion on the Blackrock.
And he's yacht. Yeah, but like, Seánie, the captain, and I suppose he's a bit of a story. He's one of the best hurlers I ever saw.
Yeah.
In every facet, and... It's a bit of a story of the week, I suppose.
Yeah, but what makes him kind of different, well, not different, right, but maybe bucks the trend a bit is even the week leading up to the Kilkenny game, we were training on the Thursday night. And some of these really top-class players carry an aura, and so does Hoggy, but he was around poking around with the boys, kind of, and he's one of the boys, you know, that them fellas. And I don't take away from any other greats that have played. I'm not saying that's any, but just, you see him and it's just... It's
isn't that the way to be, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, especially this week, like, that you're not... locking yourself away in your room, that you're out, like, in Clarecastle back in the day, walked down the quay for a walk, and people said, there's your man, the same fella was above last Tuesday night week, and you're giving out about, like, you know, and I think that's the way to be, is be...
Absolutely, be as calm and composed as you can, take it in your stride, and you know what, when all is said and done, I think as players we all liked the bit of the clap in the back as well. We can pretend maybe that we're... But we all liked a bit of praise and well done and best of luck to you. And Hoggy totally embraces that sort of. And up the field now, this was before the Kilkenny game, we went training, we said, is this fella going into an All-Ireland semi-final at all? He was so composed and so relaxed. And as you said, Dalo, he is a top player, probably, arguably, Mark, one of the best Cork players, definitely in my lifetime that I've seen. Obviously, I never saw a ring, but from the players I've seen, he's up there with Jimmy Barry and all those greats. And it will be marvellous if he gets over the line. Irrespective of the result, he'll still have that tag of being a great player. But just to put the medal with it would be special,
It would.
Yeah.
It is, Mark, like, it's a mad week, like, and you've experienced it once as captain, like, but...
He never stopped telling you either.
Once is enough there, like, I don't know how you manage it twice.
But, like, the whole week coming into it is a challenge. Maybe it's a little bit easier on the players this year because of the whole COVID thing. I mean, a small bit. Like, there's less hype and there's less people encouraged to go places. Like, God almighty, when there was an open training session back in our day, lads, there was demented, like.
Yeah. I said, look, I suppose in my situation in 99, Anthony, I had a different lead up, I suppose, to a lot of captains insofar that I tore my cartilage kind of 3.5 weeks before the All-Ireland Final, playing with McKilly down in Kilworth against Newtown Chandram. And I suppose I had a significant race against time, and I can thank, I suppose, Dr. Con Murphy, number 1, who was on holidays in Kerry. I rang him after the match, I said, I'm in trouble. He says, what do you think is wrong? I said, look, I had a cruciate and 2 cartilages already, so I said, I had a fair idea. I said, I think my cartilage is gone. So he said, come down straight away in the morning, he said, and I'll see what I can do. And so I waited below in the hotel, and 19 phone calls later, he said, I'm after getting the doctor. I said, I've never dealt with him before in my life, but he will operate on you on Monday morning. So got the cartilage out, and I suppose it was a race against time then. And I must say the county board, Frank Murphy in particular, was very accommodating, because I stayed with Liam O'Reilly and his wife and kids for, I suppose, about born to 19, 20 days, full
Tough
time.
going and Liam O'Reilly now, the wife and kids. Can you imagine? You stop eating, Mark, because you're not training.
But
Get more milk when she's got to the shop.
And the funny thing about it was that I was very fit at that stage, and I lost 7 pounds in 6 days. So it just shows you that was my first introduction, I suppose, to professional training. That we were up at 6:30 every morning with Riley on the massage table, did a set of weights, and then went cycling.
So Liam wasn't the fella from Bagatelle?
Well, no, different Liam O'Reilly. Yeah.
I thought for a minute you were in Dublin, getting ready for the speech, which we'll never forget, obviously.
But I look, so just the lead up to it, I had...
you were distracted, of course, like that was great.
I actually didn't know what was going on, to be honest with training at all. Yeah. And Jimmy Barry Murphy's relation, Jimmy's, was also helping me out in the hospital. So, but I must say one thing that did happen to me is that, I was... 2 selectors arrived at the door one morning at 7 o'clock, unannounced.
7 o'clock in the morning?
Unannounced. And that was, I suppose, my fitness test, is because I had been telling the lads all along what was going on, and 2 of them appeared at the door, and I was on the table, and we just wanted to know what's going on. Yeah, he's going out for a 25-mile cycle for about 10 minutes' time. Hop in the car with me, and we're going. And the 2 selectors sat in for the 25 miles, and we put them through it like I was put through it. And I think that was my fitness test that day. And the boys said, "Okay, come to training Thursday night." I trained on Thursday night. You remember that story, Seánie, with the parachute in the back? Remember that?
Thursday night before the Ireland final.
Yeah. And I togged out here, and Thursday night did a bit of training.
It's want to be a good, strong parachute now.
I wouldn't care to be falling out of the
I wouldn't be jumping out with a duo thing anyway.
So I was away from the whole thing, and I must say, you were slagging me the other night, I think, when Reeling in the Years was on, or somebody was slagging me that when I came out from the tunnel there was no team behind me. I was stopped looking around to see the rest of them coming. But I was as relaxed as I ever was going into a match, I must say. I had no pressure whatsoever. And I remember Pat O'Connor was refereeing the game like this yesterday. He was as white as a ghost when we went up to flick the coin. And
good ref.
Damien Byrne was the Kilkenny captain. He was fairly pale as well. And I remember Pat's handshake. When he threw up the coin, his handshake, he said, "Pat, don't worry about it. Tis when you know the game, bye." And he says, "Which way?" I won the toss. He said, "Which way do you want to play?" "I don't know, sir. I want to play against the breeze, whichever way that's going." I said, so I went down and picked up with the grass, threw it up, it was going that way. So I said, "We'll get away."
And that was me in the pouring rain, sitting in the Cusack, like, thinking it was me, should have been going up for the toss, like, by right. Yeah, or I wouldn't mind going up to meet him.
Yeah. I would have sent Cusack out to meet you.
Oh, Jesus. That's a great memory from that year. I suppose we told it in the pod before, but it was one of the greatest shocks. Like we had it over you for a couple of years, Seánie, you'll remember. Yeah. TJ, you know, we were fighting out Munster, for the middle part of the decade, let's say. And this Cork team, we'd beaten them in '98, like we decided, who are these young fellas, we kind of bullied them in some ways. Yeah. And in '99, we lined up for the parade anyway, and I don't know, was it your 49th Munster or your 48th, but he was shouting across. Yeah. We've 48 of them, they've 6. Yeah. And I'm like, what's this about? Like, this place is supposed to be challenging me here today at all. But you know what? It set the tone for the day.
It did.
I think Landers had a role to possibly play in that as well.
I'm sure he had 3 weeks on Google.
He had
a
video montage put together inside in Dundrum House, Landers.
Come on, tell us out the truth.
And Mr. Daly featured very prevalent.
Did I?
Oh, you didn't, boy?
What?
You would have gone on now.
Myself and yourself laughing.
Front and centre.
Oh, man. And here we are, like. TJ.
I was going to say, just on that point.
Watch out for him, I'm telling you.
I was going to say, are we going to hear that again? We've 30 of them. They've 9. I'm saying, is that going to be mentioned over the weekend?
I'd say young Collins is more stable, is he? The Cusack that day, no, like Cusack was wild. He was wild.
But I'm just saying, like,
and the man in front of him did.
Yeah. I give Markeen his due in fairness. He was a great captain. No different to yourself, Dalo. And he showed us a video in Dundrum before the game. Do you know, you go to the hotel. We used to go to the Anor. Then we changed it to the
Just
Dundrum.
changed to Dundrum, yeah. We actually, and the reason we changed the Anna is going back is actually we'd won the National League in '98, and there was a huge crowd around before and after the game, and there was a great bond between that particular band of players because most of them had won minor in '95, won under 21 in '97, '98, so there was a bit of a cult following that pan, and then the seniors went on to play in the '98 league final and won it against Waterford, and there was a massive crowd in the Anna beforehand and afterwards, and then obviously we beat Limerick in the first round of the championship, and then went on to play yourselves. We beat you by 8 points, I think, in the league semi-final, and you turned it around and beat us by 8 points in the championship. But we'd been to the Anna, and there was again a huge crowd, and it was felt by the manager afterwards that our players weren't focused. So the following year, we ended up going to Dundrum. So that's
is this a bit like the Burlington thing?
Yeah.
The Burlington, and we went to City West, I think. Yeah.
But like, what was all this Burlington about? Like, I know Clare fellas like that rang up fellas' rooms, like, you know.
I hope that was you. That
was not me with a good way. Rise out of. But I've been told stories on the
room.
No, on the like what room was done.
Or
Sully or one of them. Like,
okay.
might as well wake him up, sure. It's 2:30. We're going home.
Yeah.
Bring the Burlington down.
I know.
Like, get through to Mr. Sullivan's room, please.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, did you have the speech prepared?
What's this about Dundrum first, though?
Go back to Seánie, so let Seánie finish off the story in Dundrum.
So Dundrum, same as any team, TGR team, you go to the hotel before for the game and get a few pucks in. And it was all part of the thing as well, wasn't it? Buzz and a few pucks, and then out of the blue, Lander says, you know, into the room. So we all came in, and there was a little video set up, and it was a little montage of little incidents in the '98 game versus Clare, and bit of this and a bit of that going on, and Dalo to the middle of it and to the forefront, which was fine. And we ain't going to be bullied today. And in fairness to him, we got into the bus and it was the one bus I'll always remember, Journey, you couldn't hear a pin drop. In fairness to him, he had us sewed up and ready for it.
But that's what you need, though. Once you leave
they
the
were
hotel,
little nuggets. Yeah, they were little nuggets.
You don't need to be over tense, but you need. I used to love that. But we used to go to Cashel.
Okay.
Look, Nan just bring us to the Cashel Palace, and we'd go there and we'd go to bed when we came. Then we'd get up and go out to the Cashel pitch and have a run around after the cup of tea and the sandwich. And then, like, it could be great crack on down the bus all morning, but once you got onto the bus, then after Cashel GAA into Thurles, like, zoom, and the same in Dublin.
You were in your own thoughts then, Dalo, weren't you? Like, you were kind of getting nervous
nice.
then.
You'd sit beside the fella you'd normally sit beside, you know. And I remember sitting beside, you know, Ollie, like, you know, we'd share a room together. And small things, like the mornings of an All-Ireland, like, I'd be pure giddy. Right. And he could go into bed and sleep, lads. Talk about a gift.
Did you go up the night before, you know?
No, we used to fly up. That time, the transatlantic flights just come in.
Oh, yeah.
7 o'clock in the morning, down to Shannon, onto the flight, up to the airport.
Oh, great.
Bus waiting on the tarmac. You could, there was no security as such. But off the plane, their team were going that way onto the bus, and then straight over to the Carlton or the Clayton or whatever it is. And
perfect.
Yeah. Breakfast, big breakfast, up to bed. And up to bed with Ollie Baker. And after 20 minutes picking out who'll win this match, who'll win the 3:15 and Haydock, this crack. We do a lucky 15, 22 of us, right? Next thing he say, shut up. I'm going to sleep. God. And he could I'd have to wake him to say, come on, we're going for the few pucks at 12:30, 1 o'clock. Isn't that a gift?
Yeah, unbelievable. In the heat of the moment.
I suppose I can always remember probably getting onto the bus with Mickey O'Connell, and like I'd be sitting kind of maybe a third of the way up, and Mickey would always be down the back of the bus, and you could hear Mickey cracking jokes, and like I would be one of the fellas that would be I would just looking ahead with my own thoughts, nothing else. And I'm just like, I'm fucking playing midfield with this fella today, like, and he's breaking his ass laughing, he's rolling his feet like a hyena, right? And I say, what's going to go on today with the two of us, like, you know? But I was just as Seánie said, like, when we left that day in '99 for the match against Clare, you could hear a pin drop in that bus, and it was the first time ever that, and I thought that was probably significant.
To be a pin drop. Going out of it as well if Ollie Baker didn't go off injured.
Come here. Or the free. Come here. What about David Ford?
40, like James, he was the free taker.
That was a bonus. That was a bonus.
No, James,
that was a bonus.
How did you were coming a bit like this team now?
It's funny, as like say, the game itself, the scoring now, TJ, 325 to 223, all these kind of scoring. What? The scoreline was 115 to 14.
My mother wouldn't feed me, Seánie, if we conceded less than More than 113-ish, you know.
The scores,
2-5,
we won
2-8.
almost the final playing getting 115. Like you could get that in the first half. No, like.
It's getting the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, true. You know? And to be honest,
Isn't it gone mad?
like 114, 115 is nearly a half-time score now.
Yeah.
So even TJ, I hate bringing it up now. Your Wexford final, like
113 to 14 points. Something like
that was similar. We were 113-8, like in 95.
Yeah, but you made a point around the season about defenders defending, right?
Yeah.
That defenders marked their men, and that's wherever they went in the field. Whereas now it's a way more fluid, and there's tactics, and there's loose men, and there's possession.
We'll get to the speculation that young Mellerick probably will be out with his hamstring and Owen Cadigan. And there's a man that marks his man, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like against Tom Morrissey last day, he didn't care if he didn't hit it in. He just was doing a job, and there's a lot to be said for it. Mark, it was a great occasion for you, and we had to mark it by having a quick look at the homecoming to Killa. Now, it must have been the Tuesday because it was bright when you got there. But,
it was.
You were in good form, and you didn't really change the suit, I'd say, since Sunday evening. Everyone else was in sweatshirts.
Change the short, no short.
No short.
In fairness, my mother Rita, she said you better pack a second one just in case you win it.
I was working with you on the bank, like, and you wouldn't show up for about a month, I'd say.
Well, they can thank Tomas Mulcahy and Dermot O'Brien for that.
Dermot O'Brien was a legend.
What a great man, boy, I can tell it. Dermot O'Brien, Superman.
I think we've a small bit of footage of it here. Like,
what was your ambition coming into the 1999 season? Was to go for a league title, Munster title?
All in glory, to be honest with it.
I suppose in all fairness, the Cork team probably flopped against Clare in '98.
Yeah, but
what happened?
I think that
what was the transformation this year?
Well, what happened last year is that we played 4 games in 9 weeks and we were absolutely spun out by the time we got to Clare. This year, you know, even though we played well enough in the league games, once we were beaten in the league, we had about 7 weeks to go to the first round of the championship, and they gave us plenty of time to prepare our team and get together. That time we didn't have last year. Limerick probably weren't as good as they have been over the last 4 or 5 years in the championship last year, and that's probably why we got away and we weren't exposed. But against Clare, they were rampant, and the edge was taken off us last year. But this year we had 5 weeks between every game this year. Gave us a week to cool down after the championship game, gave us 3 weeks hard training and a week running to the game then, you know, and I think that was a big difference this year.
Was it anywhere between 4 and 14 pints of Heineken consumed at that stage?
I thought you said 14 minutes to the longest answer I've
Michael
ever
Douglas didn't talk as quick as that.
And the question was to McCormick, but that is
I'm getting a legging. Your man figured he wouldn't last too long after that. In and out, do the job.
Gee, I never seen that footage before.
Larry.
There's no doubt you pull anything out of anyone.
It's just not just slagging you about being bottom normally the fantasy hurling like.
We'll get that to Brian Hogan out this year.
Play.
I don't think I can be cocktail.
No. Well, Hoagie hasn't made a change like in 3 months, so
no.
Jesus. TJ, I'd have to say, like, you're riding the crest of a wave, but some rivals now, bigger rivals than these boys now, ourselves and yourselves at the time. It was league matches, 26,000 people on a November Sunday in the Gaelic grounds, and a belting match, 3 sent off, and what crack, and then all down to the Devon Arms for 2-3 pints, and looking at Hula and you and a couple of more, and will I go over and talk to him? I might, I won't. I'll be seeing him next May, and it was great rivalry, but you just didn't get over the line. The hype and the greatness of that Limerick team deserved an All-Ireland. I don't mean the hype, but the brilliant players, all of you, like, you know, and then it's such a difference. Like, I mean, the 3 of us only know coming home lucky enough winning them. And we didn't play that many now. You could be on to Jackie Tyrrell now and you could say, you lost All-Ireland. Like, do you know, but do you know what I'm saying?
I do, yeah. And like, there's very little that I can say now that makes it any better or any different. But look, that's sport, unfortunately. I've experienced the opposite to you guys. You know, in 94, 96, we came through, what would you call them, cruel Munster Championships, knockout stuff, Dalo, right? Like, maybe talk about the 96 one first. It was just incredible. We had to come here and beat Cork in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, where it had never been beaten before, right? You know, 96, we didn't have to go play the All-Ireland champions. And it took something special from Kerry to win that. And then we found ourselves 10 points down in the Munster final against Tip, and then came back, and you'd say, Jake, surely it's your time. And that's after what happened in 94 with that freak Offaly incident. But look, no point in going back that far now. That's confined to the history books. Myself, I'm at peace with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, no point in making excuses. Like they say, experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. And look, it was a bad experience, and that was it. We had great times, and no different to yourselves and your teams. We had everything that you had, but we just didn't have the cup or the medal, maybe short. We had great holidays, great times in bars afterwards, great friendships. We had great players in that team, and it was
a bunch of blokes.
Great bunch of blokes, and like
probably only later in life I got to know that. Now.
Okay, possibly, yeah.
Great
lads, but like hardy, honest. Do you know what I mean? Real, and what Seánie said there about going back to real defenders, like fellas who would just kill you, like
Steve McDonough.
Like, do you know what I mean? But
Petty friendly.
No, Stephen would not kill you.
He got very close to that.
Now that we're on live, we have to clarify. Stevie, guess how much?
That'd be GA banter, like.
Great team, like Ger Hegarty, and his obviously son is playing now, and like Kieran Hula in the middle of the field, Gary Kirby, like what an axis in the team. Like, but look. Like I said, like we can talk about all teams and history, and we had our chance and we had our time, and there was massive hype because like it was a county starved of success at the time, and we had a couple of poor years before that, and then like Tom came in and just did a marvellous job and won those Munster Championships and just came up short in 2 All-Irelands, and we can say it was this, that or the other, and like
he was a great manager, wasn't he?
He was a great manager
in terms of, I don't know about the tactics boards and stuff like that, but the character of him and you know, he'd have a go at Lucknan in the paper the week before, and he built it up great. Like,
yeah, there was a touch of kind of an old-style psychologist about him in terms of the way he got to people. And in fairness to Tom, one of the things I will say about him was he told you straight.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But he kind of suited your panel of players.
He suited our panel of players,
and that was acceptable then. Like, do you know what I mean?
The PC world wasn't there for Tom.
No,
it didn't suit. Yeah. It was direct, Dalo. And sometimes you got it, and you kind of. You'll be sore.
I know.
You'll be sore. The only thing I will say, DJ, is that the player then accepted it, right? Yeah. And he wasn't saying it out of spite, he was just saying it out of honesty. Whereas now, there's a little bit, if you challenge any fella now, they're kind of, I'll have to go to Facebook to check this out. Is this acceptable or not? Like, you know? And I just like...
Could get a call from the mammy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you... Very embarrassing. There's like... If you got a clip at school when you were a young fella, you certainly wouldn't say it when you went home. Did you got a clip like?
Another one.
Yeah, but it was the opposite end there. Unfortunately, look, it takes 2 teams all the time. Even the weekend, it takes 2 teams, and one of the teams, unfortunately, it won't have been their day. And look, the job of, let's say, the media and the public and everybody outside it is when a team gets beaten, you look to what happened. And unfortunately, in Limerick at the time, some of the hype and maybe some of the songs and that kind of stuff got to blame. Like, but the reality was,
they weren't.
We were well prepared. We knew what was ahead of us.
But in '96 they were dancing at the Crossroads. Like I remember going up O'Connell Street, and that was the song that was blaring. Like, but the question for you: did Gary Kirby break his finger early in the game against Wexford? We know it.
He didn't break.
He didn't break.
Sorry, did he get it broken for him?
Yeah. Well, like,
or did he actually break it?
It's been well documented that he did. Like,
right,
and it was well taped up for a couple of weeks afterwards, and he was injured. But look. Like, you can't pick one incident in a game, like, and just blame one particular thing. He was a huge player for us.
He was a free taker, TJ, and in a low-scoring game.
He played on, and, like, look, myself personally, when you go into a game, like, excuses.
Yeah.
When you're explaining and making excuses, you're in trouble.
The famous game against ourselves and yourselves, the goal, I'd started okay, kind of, in the game. Like, you know, a couple of pucks got in, like, and he was centre forward, and I came across, and I dropped a catch. No one near me, really, like. But then, whatever it spin behind me, here was Kirby coming at full steam, and Seánie was caught on the back foot, like, and he steamed in, of course, and buried it, like, and I was making my way back in. He said, "That's yours." And then Gary wouldn't get it. He wouldn't say a word to you, like, you know, he was a gentleman now, but he knew he was getting it in, Seánie. He was like, "Your man, I must have been very bad, like, I don't know." "That's yours, Katie," said, passing me over. "Get your balls over, Gary." But, like, that was the crack at the time. And we'd, like, sure, there was no one texting anyone the following day. So, sorry about what I said there. You might see him then in October in the league, and you'd say, "Oh, But that was the crack, lads. And sure,
I think that in that league game there was 26,000 people. And I have a memory, right, over the open stand side of the field. You definitely turned me upside down. I don't know if you remember that particular occasion.
It wouldn't stick out my head now, turning you upside down to each
side. So it was over the far side near the hoarding. I was wing forward at the time. I wouldn't be great to remember certain incidents, but I just have that memory in my head.
Chances were it was probably
My
Lynch
own
or
fault.
Baker, and I just said I'll take the free or something.
I don't know. I wish check that out.
Check that one out. Lads, we knew we'd have great stories, and I put it up. I don't know whether I made a good move or a bad move last night. I put it up on Twitter. We'll try and answer as many questions, Seánie, as we could, So of course, people took the opportunity. I can't read out some of the questions, but I tell you, just to give you a flavour of it, did the tree get a room for this Listowel races? That was one of the first ones. Is Harry Kane staying at Spurs?
Don't think so.
August 22nd in Cork history, isn't that
Michael Collins?
Yeah, do you know,
Jesus.
some fella had that.
Yeah.
People are funny, lads, with
Funny what they
dates
think.
and the memories.
Just the Harry
I wasn't
Kane
answering that one anyway.
On the Harry Kane one, would you keep him or take the
I'd
160?
sell him, Larry. What would you do?
160.
Harry
Larry.
Kane, would you sell him, Larry? 150 million leg. But you know, lads, some fella said that Kieran was doing one of these nights, I suppose, during the week, and he said the Well were the best club in Limerick in a long way, and there's a few hand lads coming in to be the Spuds or Boylan traditionally, wouldn't it? Someone said to ask you about that, actually.
Well, in fairness, two great clubs,
Yeah.
and I think, like I suppose the hand people will admit that most of their successes has been older, whereas the Well has been more recent, and probably would give them the bragging rights at the moment, and they've been more recent county champions. But look, we'll probably talk about culture and history and that type of stuff in a while, so both those clubs have it in abundance for sure.
Abundance is right. Can Cork play in the rain? One fella said, that was directed at you, but I suppose you answered that.
We dispel the notion, tell them to go back. There's about 4.5 minutes of a speech after the final. Tell them to check that out.
You did play in the rain that day, didn't you?
That's just brutal.
I thought you in the water. The forecast was desperate, Johnny.
Yeah.
Next thing you were scoring points and everything.
Well, I was lucky to be on the field there.
With a 30-inch hurley. You were ahead of your time, kid. I used to be looking at your hurley when I was marking you, and I said, where you going, Chuck?
I used to have...
They all have no.
Well, they all... But I don't know if you had hurley kind of repair guys.
Oh, we had they were the men.
And they were the men.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a guy in the club, all the Glen lads would know him, poor old Joe, God rest his soul, Joe Crowley, and himself and Mara. They had no kids, and you'd go up, and you could be 2 hours up there. It wouldn't necessarily be hurling stuff. You'd go into the house then, and you would chat, and they used to have dogs in the house. But Joe used to have the old tea chests, and he used to put all the old hurleys from the club into the tea chests. And I'd regularly go in, and it was, do you know what I actually took? Camogie girls. The Camogie girls would leave their hurleys if they were broken, and they were always light and small. And I spent most of my days going through the Camogie bunch, taking them out.
Yeah. Actually, I see.
You couldn't hook him.
I couldn't, and you couldn't hook him. But then I seen Butler Hurleys there recently, right? They had this a weighing machine. So basically, if you sent in a hurley, basically they would make it the exact weight. So if anybody jumps in going forward, go back to what Seánie said there, right? Yeah. That now people are down to 588 grams or something, Seánie, I think, or something like that.
I was even at that stage, because I was slow as Christmas. So if I didn't have other things right, and I used to get my hurleys from Sean McKenna and Scariff, Mark's dad, great guy, beauties now. But he'd be bullying because I'd bring him out to my club mate Gary Ryan to put another piece into him. I was using big buses before there was any. But then Gary, he'd weigh them all, and the 5 would be the same, whatever 5 you were using. Yeah. And Sean would be half bullying with me for changing his beautiful stick. To know, and it was hard, Sean, he wasn't this big hurley making industry, rolling them out. Yeah. He was making them by hand, and they were class. Dalo would be the first man to get them.
And it was part of the ritual, though, that he wasn't going up to your hurley maker and having a chat, and even dropping in little nuggets. He'd tell you little things. You did that a bit wrong the last day.
Or who called in the meantime for hurleys, and what did he say? You might find out.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no doubt that the hurley maker that you had was somebody that you trusted profusely. I got my hurleys off of Liam Welch from his Gould, and he always put away 5 or 6 the year previous for the next season. And you go up to him maybe in February, say, Liam, I just want to get a couple of new ones there.
But even though you had 5 or 6 there, losing the favoured one was a killer.
And a fella that'd go out then, he'd pull with the pole deliberately. He just would Well, now wouldn't be Seánie now with the camogie sticks no point you to line up alongside a certain lad now. And then like the great one I often tell is Colin Lynch never used his best hurley for the throw-in. Obviously, there's a bit of history attached to that now, as we've gone on. But he wouldn't know. And even in a club game, some fella run on with his hurley after the throwing, after the clash at the start. So he wasn't breaking, he's a good one. With a bit of temper, like whatever.
What actually is the forecast for Sunday? You see that in Dublin?
Terrible tomorrow, but not too bad. Not too bad then Sunday.
Yeah, there's supposed to be the rain. There's a bit of rain
Suit
before the game.
One time it wouldn't.
Well, might suit one or two
So
fellas
he
that
broke all that.
might suit a couple of fellas that, you know.
Yeah, I told you,
Might be
Dermot
on
Burns
the
and
substance, like, you know.
John Finn in the field for my set to suit him down to the road.
We don't mind Dalo, boy. We're in the final.
That's it. Yeah, and look, the third secret of Fatima was asked for. When will Brian Lohan be reappointed? Don't O'Grady's influence, lads. You all know him well. And TJ, you obviously worked probably the closest.
Very close to him
in lots of ways.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like, let's face it, Cork are after stringing 3 big wins in a row for the first time, lads, since 13. Let's say, like it's
I suppose the big thing is there's a huge change in personnel as well. Like, there's a good few fellas gone from the panel, like Nash, Joycey, Mackey, Conor Lehan, a few more fellas. Like, they're just the fellas that spring to the top of my mind straight away. You know, Jack O'Connor, John Melrick in, you know, a couple of other lads, Shane Barrett.
John O'Leary Hayes.
Yeah, just that.
Ellen Connolly.
You know, yeah, and like basically.
That's the change, hasn't it?
The change was to go for pace, like, more than anything, like, and the lads, I suppose, that were on the panel, they just hadn't been successful and hadn't got over the line, and I think he probably had a big bearing in that in terms of what we were actually going for into the future. And the big change has been the real introduction of pace into the team and youth. I mean, it's hard to believe that there's only 2 players over 24 years of age, Hoggy and Hernady. I suppose Cadogan now, obviously, and Damien Callahan. Cadogan will probably start with Melrick out, like, but and then, like, when you think of the under-20s during the week, not having with Connolly and Shane Barrett available to them as well, like, so, like, they are very, like, they're 2 under-20s, like, you know. I would have thought a couple of years ago, with the way Kilkenny were playing, that you'd never have a 19 or a 20-year-old fella playing in the county, that they'd have to spend 3 or 4 years after coming out of minor and bulk up. But that has now changed, I think.
Yeah, but even
certainly for us now, like,
looking at your 20s during the week, like I was saying, if we had Páirc Power and Jack Callahan, they've been really playing for Clare now, and like Cork only beat us 2 points, and we had a chance of a goal to win it. Do you know? Like, so, but like, that's the depth now. But TJ, just to ask you about Donald, like, what would he have brought in terms of why did they bring him in?
Well, if you look at the modern game, Dalo, right, and what's going on, like, the good coaches and good management teams, it's nearly forensic the way they go through their own team and the way they go through the opposition. And we'll touch on it in a while about what teams could do the weekend, right? But Donald was very much into the finer details of what he wanted the team to do and what he wants the individual to do. And there was an awful lot of stuff maybe done in microcosm. And I would say if you take maybe the modern technology with the video analysis that's available to him from maybe all different angles of the pitch and behind the goal, and I'd say that layer upon layer upon layer of education to the players and the way the team, the way he wants to play, you can really see that coming through in Cork. And like, people ask me about maybe the coaching in Limerick at the moment and what does Kinnock do in training, and like, you could ask that question about what kind of drills does he do. But again, I don't think it's anything one specific thing. I think it's just a combination of all of those fine details, very clearly explained in very simple language, and I think leaving no real doubt as to what your role is, what way the team is going to play, how we're setting up, how the opposition play, how the opposition players play. And it's all of those things, like, layered upon layered upon layered. And like, I think that's literally the modern game.
It's probably simplicity with the addition of all the things we've available to us now, Seánie. Do you know, like, he wouldn't have had that stuff, we'll say, in 04. Like,
what you would have got back in the late 90s would have been probably like 10 minutes of Seánie McGrath with his small hurley, how many times he turns onto his favourite side.
Would look now and show your video.
I know he wouldn't, but that's what
you were
now.
useless, he said. If you want to watch it again, watch it yourself. That's what he said to him, honestly. But then Shannon got 3 points off me in 98 in the Munster final draw match. And I said, I kind of bowled at this stage, captain for a couple of years, and I just said, Joe, we not all sit down and have a look at the video. Dalo, I watched it from the sideline. You were useless. If you want to watch it again, watch it yourself. That was the message going away. Like, so it was more about getting the head right for the replay and the battle, and I suppose. But he would be, I'd say, Seánie, from what I hear, right, that he might be more in the good bit in the background, but doing an awful lot of work in terms of looking at stuff, as TJ had said, and feeding it back into Kieran and the lads.
I'd say so, and I'd say he did some individual stuff for players as well, Dalo. I'd say particularly in lockdown time. I'd say one or two of the players that I would be close to would say that he might have rung them and sent them little video snips and little nuggets, and then questioned them and tested them and maybe challenged them. What did you do right and what did you do wrong and what could you have done a little bit better? Right. And I suppose that's the modern game as well. That he just said the visual aids now are that in the past it was, do you remember that incident with 10 minutes to go, and you vaguely might remember it, whereas now it's just there for you, and they'll go into little micro detail. And we had a snapshot of it in 13, being involved with Jimmy, with Sean O'Donnell. Mark was there in 15, who is now with Limerick and has done incredible work. And what Sean could produce would blow you away. Absolutely. But what also would blow you away, though, because it was alien to me and I didn't like it as a player. But players then that I got involved with in 12, 13 and 14 that I thought mightn't be really into it, I was surprised at how much they really consumed it and really wanted to know.
I think a lot of it, the college thing has gone very much that way, like, isn't it?
Well, Nicky had an article on that during the week about Nicky English, about where the teams are. Say, Mark Foley, I'm on Twitter, Mark Foley, Tomás Mull, my own club, has been a big advocate of pushing the second level stuff in Cork and driving on, and Christians have been a great example of what can happen when the second level stuff gets right. But Nicky had a good article too about where, say, the last 4 teams in this year's All-Ireland series, and he really picked out Cork, Limerick and Waterford, and where a lot of those players have come from a third level perspective. And colleges hurling, third level hurling is fast. Played it myself. It's quick ball approach, move the ball quickly. It's a mix of all different counties.
No soft opponent.
Well, yeah, and like I played it, like the myth of it's played in bad weather and it's real physical. I found it really expensive and open. And the modern player loves, as I said, the aid stuff, the visual aid stuff, the detail on the opposition, blah, blah, blah. But I think the modern player loves to hurl and move the ball quickly, and it's the modern game is ideal for that. You've cornerbacks now that are scoring and coming way up the field. A cornerback never scored in the past, really, did he? When Niall O'Leary got a score from midfield the last time.
I got a good few points off you.
What?
I got a good few points off you. Is that Mark Foley, the dentist? Yeah. He don't like me. He don't like me.
That's my brother.
He don't like me at all. What do I do with that fella?
I don't know. But he's on all week. He's on Twitter all week. He's on about the third level stuff all week.
He calls our own a phone box.
He what?
He calls our own a phone box.
Maybe you turned him up
That's what you need.
over near the hoarding as well.
You need a bit of that.
I'll be going the other way. I'll tell you. And now he's a dentist. I won't be going in for him. Lads, the biggest feedback though, the crack was great on the Twitter, and she couldn't answer them all, like, you know. Some of the questions you just couldn't respond at all. You couldn't even hit the like button. We'll introduce you to all this now over this winter.
No,
after
it, no chance.
But the 2 biggest things, lads, that came out were talk, like the 4 of you, about the rules, and the biggest thing was the hand pass. Like, and from the semi-finals, and I have to say to you, more from the Limerick-Waterford match. Now, they weren't blaming Limerick more than Waterford, but it's that semi-final, the amount of throws that were in it. But do we need to clamp down for Sunday and have a pile of frees?
No, and I suppose to explain, like a modern day training session, right? Like all that middle third stuff is done in really small squares, small-sided games, 4v3, 4v4, 5v2, right? Where you're practicing kind of being under the cosh and turning over the ball, right? But like the players really train hard to pop the ball off as quick as they can, keep the ball. That's where it's coming from, recycling it, right? But
as a coach in training, should you not be saying that was a throw? Hand over the ball.
Well, I suppose as a coach in training, you want one of your players to get the ball to where he wants it to go as quick as he physically possibly can. The coaches today, I'm sure if Paul Kinnerk was here, he'd probably tell you it was like, yeah, it might look like a throw, but it was really quick. The double movement was there, right? So it's a very difficult one. And like, we were playing under 15 hurling today, right? And you'd see some of the guys and you'd be kind of saying, was that a throw? Did we get away with it? Or like, it is in the modern game. I don't think we should change it for Sunday anyway. Let's talk about it in the winter.
Yeah, we talk about it Monday.
Monday, yeah.
I think we Liam Sheedy. We Liam Sheedy on Monday, so we could throw it straight at him.
Okay. But it's a very good question. And where is that heading to? I don't know. Johnny, it happens.
How are we going to, like, I think Don Logues has been strong on this. Like, I've been on with him a few times. Even Derek now, particularly, have been strong on saying, how are we going to get the ball out of this middle area unless we allow the dodgy hand pass? Like, if fellas have to hit it, you will never get it out of the middle. Like, I mean, we're talking about that Limerick middle third. Like, if you can't get off a hand pass slickly and borderlinely maybe, how are you going to How are you going to get stick pass off?
Like one of the points that, like talking about Sunday, right, is with stick passes and the middle third, right? Is there a possibility that Cork could come with something different, right? Like I was saying to Seánie, something like maybe a hit and run model rather than engagement in the middle third, right? And I know Dalo talks about.
What do you mean hit and run?
Well, I'll come back to that in a second, right? But the evolution of the game, right? And teams change that, right? So the middle third, like Limerick, what they've done over the last 4 years, right, seems to have really engaged that middle third, and they are inviting you. They want you in, Dalo. Like if you were a wing back now, they'd want you to come in and engage with them. Then they move the ball quickly, and that's their game. Like, so where's the next change and evolution in the game, right? So to answer that question is could we see something like that where Cork, they will have fellas in the stand telling them to drive it, right? But we might, in the early stages here, see a couple of balls maybe going back to Patrick Collins, being recycled, and they wait and hold rather than basically engaging in that middle third. Yeah. That's one of the theories I have that could change it. Now, if Limerick then go to full press and it gets turned over, like, do they have something then to go to bomb over that middle third and go long? It's one of the curious things that's coming down the track. The hand pass, I don't have the answer to it. Next question.
Next question. It's more of a chat now than questions. But obviously then, like, the other thing, there was huge, lads, on the Twitter response was people are just beside themselves, like, with the ticket situation. Like, and look, I couldn't even get a ticket, like, at this stage. I might be able to get one tomorrow, I think, hopefully, for a person who I'd love to give it to. Like, and I'd have a good few contacts. Now, I'd have burned a few contacts in Clare, obviously, so I can't really ask for too much there. But we have to realise there's 40,000.
All-Ireland winning captain, you can phone the ticket contacts.
That fits.
Yeah.
Surely.
I'd say if I rang, I'd get him, but look at it. Why not go on there?
You can't win twice to win it.
Well, you've been told later 9, sure, right. But no, like, look, there's people saying like that other counties shouldn't be getting tickets. It's a unique year. Like, in fairness, Cork and Limerick would put 40,000 easily in there themselves with the two that support.
They'd fill it.
Both teams have.
They'd fill it. But they'd fill the Cork supporters and the Limerick supporters would fill Croke Park on their own with 82,000.
I think in 2018, for the semi-final, am I right in saying was there 65 or 67,000?
There was,
just for a semi-final.
There was, it's massive.
And there was a final attracts different people.
It would, yeah.
But you were saying to me today, TJ, that we just talked, chatting, and you were saying that every intercounty, every fellow that played in the Liam McCarthy is entitled to a ticket.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah. Oh God, like, lads are.
Like, if you played in the championship, like whether you're from Tip or Galway or Clare or whatever it is, like, are you telling me that Tony Kelly isn't entitled to 2 tickets to go and see the All-Ireland final? You like, so he is, and like.
Does he get them through his county board then, or does he get it from Croke Park?
No, but I think that's a. I don't know. It was a GAA or a GPA or a combined deal that definitely changed a number of years ago. And I suppose then you've got all those other counties. Like, should it be just Limerick and Cork? I think it is, in the main, right? But like, I think I was talking to Dignan there last week, and he said that Offaly got a very small number of tickets. So I don't think there's that many distributed around the county, but there is, like our county chairman and county secretaries and like different coaches wanting to learn. Like, you have to go to the All-Ireland final to see what did they do in the warm-up, how is this shape. It's difficult to get off television. So
and to be able to bring children as well, within a reasonable age. Now, you see, sometimes you've been at All-Ireland, you've seen a 4-year-old and not a clue what's going on. But your lads now.
I was sure, Charlie, I've no problem. Like, 2 years ago, I went up to see Cork and Kilkenny, and he was 6, and he kind of, the game passed him by. I can tell you the last day. Way different. And we were in Lahinch during the week, and we ended up going down to the 19th pub to watch the match. And he went in the gear, like, and he was, where's the TV? Like, it was, right, okay, turn on the match, let's go. And a couple of Limerick supporters and a couple of Clare supporters were coming down, looking around.
Going to the games at a young age it makes you. My first one was 83. I went up with my dad. I remember Uncle Neville and Morris and a few of them. I'll never forget it. And 2-14, 2-12, Cork were beat. And then it's weird, Donny Dowling then was in my class in college in 94. And mad hurling man, Glenmore. And a couple of weeks after we got to know each other, he said, I knew your face the first day I met you. And I said, how was that, Donny? You were on the telly at half time in 1983 with the flag. And I was. The cameraman, we were in the hung stand to the camera, and I came up, my father pushed me, and my old man make his body able. He
You're
pushed me
actually
out.
still the same, Seánie.
Same
You
size.
walked in tonight. I says, McGrath has changed tall, like, you know.
You're the same size, he said.
Have you 2 tickets to give away there in a while? No, is there
I
somebody
think
going to
we have something there, Larry, have we? You might fill it in there, Larry. Will you?
somebody could get what?
A couple of hard callers there. How many championships has Seánie McGrath won with Glen Rovers? And there's no prize for that.
I won't answer it, put that up. I didn't say it.
A few close calls. But lads, yeah, I've an old Twitter buddy there, Sean Collier, lad, I know, and another lad there from Newcastle West. I was private Twitter, and it's lovely as well because you don't know these people. Like Sean has been gone. I'm on the train. He's Leishman.
Right.
I'm on the cameras on the train to Croke or Dalo. Really looking forward to it. 2,000 only there, and delighted to be getting in. Came down here. Was what big game did he come down here for? Went to Thurles.
Yeah,
and like
Ulster final he probably came to.
He's not even trying for a ticket. Like he just said, I'm not.
Yeah.
But like there's a fella that went to every game.
Yeah.
It's a funny one. Whereas there'll be the odd lad now, you know, and I know, and you all know, that will be there that has played golf every day. These big games have been.
I know that.
The frustration is the hospitality side. I think the guy that hears a story that someone got 2 tickets and he couldn't name 2 Cork players or 2 Limerick players. No, I know it's still part of whatever. It's a massive day, but. Your example, and I have loads of examples of both fellas ringing saying that I have one. This is a problem I've seen with a lot of fellas. I have a ticket, but I've nothing for the young fella, and I'm not going without bringing the young fella. And that, your heart goes out to those fellas.
It's probably a little bit tougher in Cork in terms of the number of clubs, Mark, let's say in Cork. Like that's just a little bit harsher. Like so, like
it is like, but
because the numbers have been small going to the club, then isn't it?
Like the funny thing, we did a novel thing in the club in Killa this year was they got 30 stand tickets, I think, and they decided to raffle 15 pairs. So that if your name was drawn out, you got 2 tickets. Okay. And I've heard that example of another club in Cork, the Rockies, from what I can gather, sent back 10 tickets today. There were individual tickets that were drawn, and they gave them back to the club and said, look, I won't go because my son can't go or my wife can't go. We always go together, that kind of thing. But, like, I think the annoying thing is that when you watched the Premiership last weekend, every stadium in England was full. Mm-hmm. That I have a problem with that. The other major problem I have with this weekend is the fact that the minor game isn't on before the senior game, particularly when there was 2 double headers last weekend.
It's on Saturday night, Sean.
It is, but it should be a double header. And it's not because...
We've talked about this all year now. The Joe McDonagh final should have been held and played before the All-Ireland final. Playing under 17s before the All-Ireland final is unfair to them, and I think it's just a bad vibe.
Well, Antrim and Kerry was a good game last year, as an example.
Sure, look, it's great spectacle. It's our second adult competition.
Your ticket problem is getting worse now if you introduce more teams.
But the only thing, TJ, what I'm saying to you is that, like, I think it's a bit ironic, and I think it's a bit Irish to be charging €90 to 40,000 people going at the weekend with 1 match on. That's what I think. I mean, when I'm going to the match, okay, I want to go to the seniors, but I'd like to go to see the minors as well. I'd like to see the future fellas like that. Like you're right, McDonagh. I've no problem with that, and it's another debate, right? But the fact that the All-Ireland minor final, and I know whether we all played minor. I was lucky enough to play in the minor, 2 of them drawn and beat my Kilkenny in a replay.
We played all of us 3 or 4 times.
We played before the seniors in 1990, and it was a historic day because Tomas Mull and Cork weren't fancied at all.
And you came in and drew it, didn't you?
We drew it. We were 12 points down twice and came back to draw it. And it was the crowd got us over the line, like, doesn't it?
You can't afford it.
Full. edge of the house. And I'm a bit like Jermaine, like.
High or low, you didn't mind?
Didn't mind. Front or back.
we didn't really have a home, Mackie, so we just kind of moved around.
But again, as I say, I just, like, the minor grade, you can say it's gone down to 17, but as minors growing up, you always knew the opportunity was there to play in Croke Park on All-Ireland final day as the curtain raiser. I just think it's a bit Irish.
And we'll probably go back to that. Look, we're in different times.
We are.
Like last year in December, there was no one there. So to get 40,000, we probably would have taken it at the start of the year. Hopefully,
we're there and lucky to be there, and it was eerie. Like it was the All-Ireland final.
Yeah, was it?
So I'm really looking forward to Sunday. You know, 40,000. Walking up Jones's Road last year, no one outside the hotel.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's just weird, like, and it's the All-Ireland final. So let's have a bit of talk about discipline, and I suppose more on the Limerick side. We'll have to say it straight out. There's been talk, and in fairness, TJ, we discussed it on the podcast, but he managed to get Peter Casey back without much fuss and everything else. Have we the right man for the job in Fergal, do you think, to handle this one, Teach?
I can go back to the podcast. I think that we can take some of the credit for that. I think that we sorted Fergal early in the season.
Did we?
And I think he listened to us.
When we had him in with us.
And I think he's done a great job now. What I was going to say, Mark, is to be fair to everybody sporting, and especially the Cork people, I think the reaction to the Peter Casey thing has been great. As I said, nobody cribbed and cried about it. I think it was the right decision. I came out and said at the time, I thought it was harsh. And I think, look, in fairness, I think everybody's accepted it now and we've moved on. It hasn't been an issue this week. Everybody dealt with it and we've moved on.
I was looking back over my notes there from the show the Monday after, and I had Peter Casey, harsh question mark, and we have a small bit of the audio, I think, from that day. The two ye went.
Let the powers that be now decide whether he was correct or not correct, I suppose is what I will be saying here. And the video evidence, TJ, you're going to be relying now on technology to get your man off. And you're the man that didn't want technology last week. I really need to remind you.
I don't, and like obviously video footage needs to come into play. But what I will also say is, right, is in all walks of life, right, your character and your previous good behaviour and all that kind of stuff comes into play, right? I think that should come into play here. And like Peter Casey, he ain't that guy.
Technology.
I think both points with kind of technology got him off, I think, was it?
It was.
But you're right about the character as well, I think.
Yeah. No, I've heard the technology debate before, and we'll have it, I'm sure, again down the road. I think, to go back to what Seánie said there a while ago about this beautiful game that's played at pace, I just don't want to see it slow down. I mean, we want to see everything moving. The problem with technology will come is, where does it stop? Which decision do you check? Which one do you not check? How far do you go back for a score? Was there a foul? And I think there's so many fouls and little pulls and drags happening here and there, Mackie.
I look, and I'm going to I know I'm repeating myself again. Like, I'm only interested in the kind of the game-changing decisions that do affect matches. To be honest with it, there was a couple in the football match last weekend, where John Small gave him and I'd say if Conor Lane had his time over again and saw the incident and he caught him with his elbow into the jaw, it would have been a straight red card on the spot. I think the technology is there. If we can speed up the video and to show it to the referee, lads, it's there to be used. And it's small little things. And TJ, look, we're delighted that Peter Casey is playing, because we don't want it to be said, if we happen to come out on the other side, we didn't have a full team. No, we're not going to have a full team, but we're not arguing about that. But technology is there and it should be used to the betterment of the game. The other point I'd like to make is that, the person involved on the other side, right? There should be retrospective suspensions for fellas that don't get we say, caught or seen to be doing what they're doing on the day of the match, as far as I'm concerned. That, we'll always say, he was dealt with, he got a yellow card, he was booked. But there are stuff going on that is not picked up by the referee on the day, and the GAA should be given the power to be able to retrospectively suspend the player, in my opinion.
Wouldn't you say that has happened a bit with the Sunday game, picking up stuff, obviously?
Yeah, but has the GAA ever suspended a player afterwards?
I think they have, but anyone that's dealt with, though, and that's a bit more of a problem with a fella that gets an old yellow, but he's dealt with, and then it's shown on Sunday night, and it's nailed on red.
It should be moved up. It should,
but
just
because it's dealt with.
But the Gillane scenario I saw.
Yeah.
In other words, if we're all talking about the fairness of it, probably Aaron Gillane should have got a red card here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
I think that's fair.
Should he be retrospectively suspended afterwards?
It was dealt with on the day, I think.
That is maybe the rule that needs to change.
Overall, you have to say, in the main, there is very, very few real bad incidents. We have very few red cards overall in hurling. I don't think there's a major problem in it. Yeah, the game's gone so fast, it's difficult to referee.
But Johnny, you happy with Fergal?
We're delighted with him, Dalo. I think he's a good ref. To me, he's probably the best ref in the game. He's got a huge job, though. I think Limerick will come. I think Limerick will come with a ferocious physical challenge on Sunday. I think they'll come to try and disrupt Cork's fast ball approach. And I would hope, I thought Fergal Horgan was excellent the last day with Hugh Lawler. Quick pull and Hoggy, stamped it out straight away. None of that today. I think if he lays down a marker early doors, yes, we've probably the best free taker in the game, but I'd prefer to see the game
Our boys wouldn't be pulling jerseys now, Seánie.
No. But there will be plenty of contacts.
I was there, Seánie. I was at the match. I thought Hoggy dragged him first.
But you know, I think Fergal has a big job to play. He's a great ref. I'm getting whispers that Cork, concussion-wise, struggled the first day against Limerick. That there were a couple of guys assessed, that some of the hits were hard, and I think Fergal has a big role to play on Sunday.
Yeah, but I think
like any game, he's a big role to play.
It's huge.
But in this one, I have a sense that Limerick are going to come with a ferocity that we haven't seen before. They'll be worried about Cork's running game, and I hope Fergal deals with everything. And I'm not even making eye contact with TJ as I'm saying it. I can feel him.
He's just looking at me.
I'm just trying to picture Seánie going up against Kyle Hayes or something in a modern game.
I was going to say TJ to All-Ireland something. Welcome, yeah. You know, look, but I think we can't kind of ignore it altogether because it's what everyone's talking about on Sunday night, Monday.
Yeah.
The ref and this decision.
It's
It's gone. Dave Fergal has a bigger game than anyone nearly.
Yeah.
So we've seen there's pressure on Hoggy, free taker.
Yes.
Pressure on Aaron Gillan, free taker. There's more pressure on Fergal, like.
Yeah, and like yes, they've got the aids, they've got the VAR, whatever they call it, the hockey and all this stuff. They have all that, but like you do put yourself out there as well, though. You go and you do the course. I want to be a ref, and I think every ref that's at him to come in wants to ref on an All-Ireland final day.
What I love is he was a very good player as well, though. And I think you could get a sense of it.
Yeah.
You know, you could get a sense of dressing rooms and what incidents and was that malicious or was it just a fella going in a bit OTT?
And you think that helps his judgment call?
Huge help.
Okay.
And his linesmen and his umpires have a huge part to play. It is a big team game, Anthony, for him on the day because he can't see every incident that's going on, but he has to rely on his umpires behind him when the ball is up the other side of the field, what's going on back there. Because the crowd will let him know, but the incident is probably already after happening. So, like, his linesmen and his umpires have a huge role to play as well in making this a seamless final.
Yeah. And we want to be there on Monday morning. Just saying, Fergal was brilliant.
Correct. We don't want to be talking about the incidents.
No, but giving him his due praise, lads. We're waiting all evening for team news, and I believe we might have a bit of it in. I think things are fairly similar in the Limerick front. I'd be right in saying maybe we're going to have them on the screen there in a sec.
That would be quite unusual.
Really expected any change.
If there was any change there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so the very same, obviously with Peter Casey being available again. Now, positions there are as good as, the full forward line. I'd say every other line, like William and Dara are playing brilliant, and so they'd probably leave Keane where he is. They might switch wing corner, but the inside line could go anywhere, couldn't they? They could go corner full. Peter Casey could go full straight away. Like.
He could.
You'd imagine. So that's fairly predictable. And Cork, obviously, very unfortunate for Ger Mellerick to miss out. I thought he was having a great year. Owen Cadigan, experience, comes in there, did a great job the last day.
And the Kingston house is back to normal, isn't it?
The Kingstons will be having the ball of wheels mixed together tomorrow morning. But look, what do you think? Like, I wouldn't have started him. I'm going to say this straight out now. I'm very awkward with the dad. I thought he changed the match.
Yeah.
And I will say, I would go down on my knees and say, Shane, you should be on. You're in the best 15 hurlers. But we want to win the All-Ireland. And this is just my own opinion now. Most people have said you have to start him.
I'd start him, Dalo.
I know.
I think
it's very unfair on an All-Ireland final.
I think the Kilkenny game versus the Limerick game will be such that if Cork need Shane to come on with 15 minutes to go, he came on with whatever he came on, 40 odd minutes the last day. Limerick will retreat. There'll be no space like he got against Kilkenny. It'll be almost next to impossible, and that's a freak. 7 points from a sub, 11 points from our subs. That doesn't happen normally. Like, that's a one-off. I think Shane has to start. His stats are off the wall. Shane is the highest scorer from play in the country. He's 3-9 from play. No player in the country has that. He's on form. You start your best team. You go for broke, and you don't we still have Alan Cadigan in reserve, we still have Connolly in reserve, but for me, when he's buzzing, when you're buzzing as a forward, TJ, when you're buzzing, he's buzzing, I'd start him, and I'm not surprised that he started.
TJ, from a Limerick point of view, you've seen it there now, the Cork team, they're down Mellerick, I liked him, I like that to say, I'd like the cut of his jib going forward, but Cadigan comes in, but the Kingston one,
Yeah, I'm with Seánie. I would have said that I would have started him. If it, like, from the player's point of view himself, like, he'd be saying, look, I'm one of the better forwards here, right? Like, what do you want me to do here, right? You dropped me the last day. I came on and scored 7 points. Dead. And I ball him across the table.
You call him dead?
Yeah, possibly not. I suppose the key thing for Cork is what they've been missing, maybe what Seánie said over the last couple of years, right? There's a consistency about the team now, right? That you can see it come together. So I think that's one thing that's probably really pleasing for this team. They still have game changers, they still have young fellas. And look, we probably all around long enough to say everything fell right for Shane the last day to get those 7 points, right? Like, those things don't really happen again. And I'm not saying anything like that they could be, right? But let's say you don't want to bring Shane Kingston into a game that might be already in trouble. Do you know what I'm saying? So you want to start, and maybe Cork's purple patch could come early.
Could. And even before he was dropped, Mark, he had a goal got in each game, like.
Yeah, 3 goals got.
Scored a goal against Limerick.
3-2 scored already. My opinion on the Shane thing is, I think that the management got the exact reaction that they wanted from the young fella, and it was no surprise to me that he reacted the way he did. I feel if they didn't play him on Sunday, it could have possibly went the other way and went against him. He might have said, what more do you want me to do? I mean, I thundered into the game, got the 7 points. Okay, and I think his father said that he got the kick in the ass that he needed. And I think Shane probably deserved to start on the performance. Now, we were in a situation with Seánie, with Kevin Murray and Alan Brown, who were outstanding for us in '99. And every day they came on, and I remember Dr. Khan telling Alan Brown on the Tuesday before, Brownie, you're in, kid. You're in. Got the team today, like, you know.
Van was picking it up.
Thursday he went down. Brownie, sorry, boy. Sorry, I'm Brownie probably out telling everybody he was there. But anyway,
Kieran would hardly have left Shane wait all the way till tonight, would he?
I just don't know, TJ. I'd say it's a difficult situation to be in.
It's a tricky one, yeah.
It's a difficult situation, but I just think.
Is your young fella playing the Fela team with Gary Spillane? Is he in a road? Oh, he's in a cut.
He's in at the moment.
But I think you're quite right. They said, you know, Shane Barrett, having taken his place, probably didn't set the wall, even though he did get a point and he was fouled for another, but he didn't carry the same threat. And he's been excellent coming on himself. So I don't think that is any doubt for Cork that the fact that Shane Barrett isn't starting then as well, they'll feel that they have a real live wire to come in if there's a requirement for him. And plus they have Alan Cadigan and they have Connolly and they have Dickie Dalton to come in. So, like, you know, I think it's the right decision. I think it's the correct decision.
Okay, sure. That's the team news. It's good to have it.
The parade is back. I think
parade is back. Did you like the parade, TJ? You broke off very early that year, '96, didn't you? And
back to the excuses again.
Martin Story said he'd have gone down Jones's Road. I loved the parade.
Yeah,
I loved it. No one would score 2-4 off you on the parade. So I maintained, keep going, lads. I said, it was the boys' band that time. Keep it moving. We go round again there. Because I'm mocking Brian McAvoy or someone. He'd claim me like, you know, Kevin Broderick or you or Janie Mac, you.
Yeah.
I just love the parade.
Yeah. I did get contacted by Stephen McGrath, an old stalwart from I went to school with him in St. Coleman's, who said to me, would you just say it in the podcast during the week? Is there any chance that the parade would leave the helmets, leave the players' parade without the helmets on? Because people don't know. The punter looking in doesn't know what these lads look like, what the Tim O'Mahony looks like, what does the Rob Downey look like.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Fair enough.
Like,
socks up.
Wasn't there war over ye with the socks up in Kilkenny and that, so you could organise that again?
Yeah, we won 4 months and 2 All-Ireland after that, but don't worry about that, like, you know.
With the socks up, was the socks up? Jeez, I tell you, the Kilkenny fellas laying them down didn't do them any harm either.
You know, and am I right in saying if it's a draw, it's a replay?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I didn't know that.
No,
right.
Not finishing the day, no?
No, I think it's a replay.
And half price for the tickets in the replay.
You're recouping there.
I'd say no, if it's a draw and a good match,
120.
You'll pay it again.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but the parade is great, and it is part of the whole day. Like, and the big thing, the other thing I suppose that came out is the Cork are being allowed to do a warm up and go back into the dressing room. TJ,
yeah, see that last
I'm surprised that JP and the boys didn't put a stop to that now.
And I'd bring the podium back out to the middle of the field for the speeches as well. They were much more memorable from the middle of the field in the pouring rain.
I thought you might be upsetting us, like, you know what I mean? But we won't mention the tactics board now, seriously.
The water breaks. Mikey Dynan didn't like it. I think he's nearly right, lads.
Wouldn't you just love to see some cockfella run over, right, as Kinnock walking out with the tactics and grab it and throw it into the crowd? Would you just imagine that so, lad?
Them's the things that need to be done.
Yeah.
You know? Honestly, put your foot through the... Great story, going back to my father's time playing.
Yeah.
They were playing Tulla, and the Tulla famous pipe band, they always led us around the county final. And a famous lady in Cork, this is back in the 40s now, my outfit had been playing, like, you know, and every time Tulla'd get a goal, the big bass drummer would hit the thing and say, "Up Tulla!" and a big roar from the crowd. So we got a goal to win it, I think, in injury time. And I think she'd a pair of high heels on. So she went straight through the... No, she said, Tulla. So, like, them are the things, lads. The tactics board, put it up in the air. Like,
I remember
I would like to be going in there with Kyle Hayes and Sean Finn.
No, Mackie. But like, Donald would have a tactics board as well now, in fairness, and like, all that might be going on. You mightn't see it on the pitch, but I'm definitely sure.
Is it a water break or a tactical break?
Like,
get rid of the bloody water.
It's definitely tactical break.
Is it TJ, is it?
It's definitely.
Yeah.
Just for Limerick.
But it has turned into be a tactical break.
I know, it's the same for everybody.
Do you know? But that's what it's like. It was supposed to be 60 seconds, get your water, and away out you go. And next of all, it started to get extended, and then some teams started to take it.
But sure, Mackie, if he went to bring the board on Sunday, you can.
We don't need it. We've all the work done beforehand, TJ.
What do players take on in that? Do they really consume the information?
Well, the only thing I'll say is, if you look at this week, right, they would have all their, as I said, forensic plans done, right? Is there a possibility that Cork could come with something different, right? And then in that first quarter, where are the problem areas? Where are the scores coming from? Like, that is being fed very quickly to Paul Kinnerk, right? And he's basically saying, lads, this is the data we have. He's just detailing, and again back to the layer upon layer upon layer, Seánie. So instead of maybe guys being tuned out or maybe that 2-minute break, right? He's just really identifying the area, showing it to you, showing where the player's popping into. That's where it's coming from.
Quick, snappy stuff.
If the diagonal ball is not working, Peter Casey, go back into your corner. We'll go direct. Next 3 balls you get Kyle, Dermot Burns, Hannon. Go down the middle to Seánie or. You know, I think it's a quick.
Like real time.
You confuse fellas in 2 minutes, like, wouldn't you, if you tried to.
Real time. Paul Kinnerk will know who has the most plays, which of the opposition players. Like, is Mark Coleman had 10 plays in that first quarter? Where the problem is, he'll have all that, right? So if you're playing, let's say, corner back, right, you mightn't see that. Look, that's where the problem is. So he'll show you very quickly. That's where the problem is.
Point.
That technology.
But it is a tactical break.
I was involved in a Munster minor final. I won't say it was who or anything like that, but the technology came down there. We missed the goal chance anyway. And a fella who wasn't a selector at all called the man that missed the goal chance over because one of the stats boys had showed it to him on the laptop. And he said, "Come here. So, this is what you're after missing us." I go over and say, "Don't worry about that." I said, "Another goal chance, but like it can be loose too. You want to be very."
It can be loose, and you're kind of. Can it be a bit false as well at times? Can it be a small bit false? Again, as a player, I go back to even with Jimmy, like say when he was come down. Like sometimes your own instinct as a player might be, yes, the stats might say he's not pucking much ball, but he ain't conceding too much either. And if you go totally by the stats,
Owen Kerrigan, like.
Well, he
Tom
puts
Morrissey,
no ball.
10 minutes into the second half was getting the goalie finger.
The only thing I was to be fair to the guys that are involved in the modern game now, right? They do have it, like, there's no false stat.
There's one. There's one. Puck outs retained.
But they know this.
The short ones.
Yeah, they know that.
They
know that.
We're 100% on the short ones.
I'm just saying, it's just kind of maybe a refit of what's going on, just a reminder of the plan, because to be honest, in All-Ireland Final, right, and even though Cork will be trying to play that possession game we're talking about, moving the ball, right, so when the cornerback gets the ball from Collins on Sunday, what's the Cork fella above in the stand going to be telling him? Drive it!
Look. Lads, the 18th of July, 3:22, 1:17. 2:22, 1:17, apologies. And I suppose we analysed it the following day, and I thought Cork had a great chance with the 4 points in it, and I watched it twice this week now as I have to do on that kind of thing. But like the Jack O'Connor over carrying one where he was bearing down on goal was marginal call, like, and like, was he in for a goal? He was definitely in for a point or a takedown. Like, I thought that game was in the balance. Now you thought Limerick had another gear at the time, and Limerick had 20 wides the same day.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
what? Where have both teams evolved, Mark? There's been a huge change in both teams.
Yeah. Well, and like I suppose, and to go back a little bit further in that game, Cork were leading by 2 points when they got the penalty. Limerick were down a man at that stage, so we had a lot of momentum. I think we lost a bit of maybe composure and a bit of desire, because I thought we left Limerick in for 2 goals before half time. It wasn't on the cards, and I was above in the stand that day, roaring. Like, we did sense it, that it was there, but in a blink of an eye, I think our confidence seemed to seep away when we missed the penalty and then conceded the 2 goals. I thought in the second half, Limerick hurled at their ease, in my opinion, in the second half. We missed, and I suppose Owen Cadigan, just to mention him, he got an opportunity to bring it to 3 points, I think.
4-3, that was a great chance.
And then Dermot Burns got one on the other side, pushed out the foot, and next one they just moved away. Arthur Hannity came off with 10 or 15 minutes to go. He got a dead leg from Barry Nash, and some of the forwards that we brought on didn't have any physical presence, and the ball started to come out of our forward line very easy. So what has evolved since then?
I love the way, TJ, that they know every injury and who caused it and stuff. I can remember Seánie coming off injured, but I didn't remember it was Barry
He
Nash.
went off injured in 2018 as well, so I mean,
who had he been done that?
I don't know. I'm not going back that far, but I will say the last 3 championship matches he's failed to finish on 2 of them, and I'd be saying to Seánie, no, maybe it's time to lower the blades on Sunday and start to scatter a few fellas.
We bring it on, Marky.
Huh? Oh,
we'll bring it on, lower away.
No problem, bye.
John Paul.
We'll be delighted. Lower the board back.
And you're shaking hands with Kyle Hayes.
We'll be keeping away from him.
I think the opposite. I'm a little bit like Seánie here, and I mentioned hit and run. I actually think the first championship game they played, right, the Cork 6 forwards, right, tried to play as far up the field as they could, practically inside the 45-yard line. If you do tactics board here from midnight, Dalo, I could show you, right? We got one. But
all right, tactics board.
I think that you will go the opposite. I think you will try not to engage the middle third. I think you might try and maybe run into, maybe try and have a quick hit and get out of the tackle rather than that engagement to the middle third. That's kind of one of the tactical changes, that if Cork can get that game going and get that second ball basically into their forwards onto grass. Now, you might say that's a big ask, and it probably is, but I did think that they were trying to do the right thing. Now, tactically, that night they played Jermellerick in the middle of the field, right, and Mark Coleman was centre-back, right, and basically he didn't play as a sweeper, right, so he marked Cian Lynch in the centre-back position, but when Cian Lynch left that centre-forward position, then Jermellerick dropped and picked up Cian Lynch, and they got that pretty much right. So they now have a situation where Jermellerick isn't there. So I suppose what's going to happen now, and if you're probably asking me, like, Cian is key. Like, he really makes this Limerick team tick, and I'm sure it will have been the topic of many conversations for that management team.
Like, if Limerick win it, it's him or Kyle Hayes.
Possibly, player of the year, and like, as such, Cian's standards very, very high, but an awful lot goes through him, like, right? Yes. And I suppose for Cork to be successful, they nearly have to shut that down, Marky. So, like, I think the middle third won't be what you're saying there. I don't think Seánie will engage. I think Cork.
Where have they turned it, TJ? Seánie, where have they, like, from, limp enough that day, let's say, I liked a lot of what I saw now, but Clare going well, and we felt very unlucky against Tip. The decision, obviously we won't go back over it, but Clare coming in a fairly decent place, I'd say, headspace wise, had beaten Wexford. Like, Cork saw it out, although a bit scary, and then did the business against Dublin. Dublin had it back to 4, kicked on again, and then even with the madness of the goal they gave away, the last day were able to kick on again. Like, so the mental strength has definitely improved a mile.
And I think it's been a marginal gain for every game. I couldn't say I wasn't terribly overly delighted, say, with the Clare or Dublin performance. I thought Cork left Dublin into the game in the second half, brought back to 4 points, and Tony Kelly probably should have goaled. Like, Cork should have been out of the championship. It was probably his weakest shot of the year, and he's probably the best player in the country. But Tony should have scored and should have goaled, and Cork should have been out. But the victory and the buzz that the victory gave then got players flourishing, and like Hoggy got 3 against Clare, 3 against Dublin, 6 then against Kilkenny. Like, he was getting better, and then he exploded the last day. And I think over the last couple of games, it's been incremental build-ups to what you got then on the last day against Kilkenny. Jack O'Connor coming in alive. I think what Kieran and the management have done is they've shown savage faith in players. You know, you get players that they'll start, they mightn't play great, and they probably, you know, need to come off. I think he's really got to know his players and understand them and say, Jack, I think the first time really that he won clean possession was in the 41st, 42nd minute, Jack O'Connor. And he was a revelation after. He probably won the game.
This stats thing that comes up, green, amber, red.
Yeah,
Jack would have been so
he'd
red.
Dalo, he'd have been gone at probably half time, and Sham could have been gone at half time. I don't think Sham poked the ball in the first half.
Just trusted him.
So the trust that the management have shown in the players has allowed them then to flourish. And look, we were there, Mark. Like, I suppose Cork hurlers, when they get going and they get that buzz going, then they kind of have the ability to maybe go on to another level. And they definitely got on to that other level the last day. A sucker punch with Mullen's goal. And even though the lads around me were saying we're in trouble here, I don't know, I felt myself, no, there's something different here. There's a cockiness back with these fellas. So I'm not sure if what's happened to Cork this year and over the last couple of games has been about tactical, boom, 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 positional stuff. I think there's just real Cork hurling back in them.
Personal growth.
Personal growth
well,
almost.
Like Tim O'Mahony would have got shot if there was 2 points in that game. I don't mean shot now, Tim, sorry. But
extra time he was nearly man of the match.
In a hurling match, I've made dozens and dozens of them.
We've all done it, yeah.
But it's 2 points and they were gone.
Yeah.
What a game in extra time.
What a game.
Must have caught
ball
4
after
anyway.
ball. Yeah.
Clean puck outs.
Yeah.
Just said, well, this is not getting me down.
And about a year and a half ago, I was just up the marina here, and I was having, there's a new restaurant thing here, Gougie, it's a new place there. I don't work there, it's not a plug. But there's a lovely cafe up there. And I see KK, I see Kieran above having a cup of tea with Tim O'Mahony, the player you mentioned. So I think he's really got under the bonnet with these fellas, what goes on in there and what's going on outside of work and life and hurling. And they're playing for him. And fellas like Jack O'Connor and these fellas are revelling in the role, and they know maybe the fate, these fellas are going to bestow a bit of faith in me, and they're going to give me my chance, and I'm going to come good.
Tactical stuff too, though, Seánie.
There has, TJ. Sorry, no,
like,
okay. But
in fairness, like with the sharp puck out when it didn't work in the league, and they went back to it. Like there's a nice mix there now of long and short, and like knowing what the opposition are doing. Like I think that they're getting that right, and that's going to be an interesting one, Dalo. Like in terms of, will Limerick give them the puck out? Like will Limerick push up and do that full press?
Oh man, I know. I just heard Niall Moran on Game On, and Niall Moran said I expect Limerick to go after straight from the, like unlike Limerick gave the puck out to Waterford, that they might shove completely up and say to Patrick Collins, puck it out, so.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you here is, right, if you picture this, right, the Cork 6 forwards will stay up past the 45-yard line, right? They'll try and create a gap in between the middle, right? The 2 midfielders will push back, right, to try and create a gap in between their half-forward line and their midfielders, right? Right. Now, if you push up, right, and go for that full press, what I'm saying is the mix now of Collins being able to go along, right, and let's say you have a Seánie McGrath who can lift the siege, or potentially a Darragh Fitzgibbon maybe sitting in the number 12 position.
And maybe William O'Donoghue has to go with his man then.
He has to go with his man then.
Yeah.
So I think that piece will be critical. And I think early doors here, like I was predicting the last day of Limerick and Waterford that we could have the best first quarter in the championship, and it turned out that way. I think the first quarter here could be very tactical. I think it could be slow. I think you could see a bit of ball going back. I think you could see they try and work each other out. I don't think we'll have the blistering opening quarter here.
Yeah, but I would say, TJ, you'll have to, like Limerick, that first game I was critical, I suppose. I didn't think they were great. I think incrementally Limerick have got better and better. Like, I mean, obviously the second half against Tip, like, you know, sure, look, this the third quarter, lads. Like, if you're down, we've been in dressing room, was down 10 points at half time, and we'd nearly be saying, let's try and win the second half.
Yeah.
They're saying, we'll have this turned over by the quarter, by the water break.
Yeah.
Like, this is the belief that's, and I think it was brought on another step the last day, and it hasn't hit peak even yet.
Yeah, and look, that's why you said to Anthony, I felt that the Munster semi-final against Cork, I thought that they were actually comfortably hurling within themselves on that occasion. I do think that the Cork probably have realised themselves. You've asked me how have they evolved since then. I think they probably went back and they analysed that game themselves, and they probably looked at the mistakes that were made and said, you know what, lads, there's actually 5 or 6 points there that we could have got. The game would have been closer. Our spirits would have been a bit higher. We can go back to the penalty. That should have been scored. And look, we left 2 goals in. They waltzed through. Like, I mean, the Kyle Hayes one was unbelievable. Like, there was 3 defenders between him and the goals, and no one went out to meet him and to put pressure on him.
Do you remember the way it worked out, Mark? Like, and I want to throw this out now to the 3. Like, feel free. Is there any hurling team in the last, maybe Kilkenny, but I don't think they really even needed it. Like, they're so game aware. Nicky Quaid is so game aware that your man has put up 4 minutes injury time,
The 4 minutes are up. He's looking at the clock like, sure, Tim O'Mahony hit a line ball, I think, that went wide for that puck out.
That's right.
Hayes just took off.
Yeah.
Hayes just bombed. He went long.
That's right.
He said, the time is up now. We have a free shot at this.
Yeah.
Gillane fetched it. He hasn't even looked at Gillane. He just kept bombing.
That's right. Yeah.
He knew he was gone past him. Boom, boom, goal. Game over nearly. Like.
Yeah,
now, would there be any other team, lads, would have that? You know, we've a free puck out here nearly because whatever happens out of it is going to blow for half time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I think, they have it over a lot of teams.
They're very fluid, like. The Limerick team are very fluid and they have great backroom staff, and Connacht, there's no doubt that the tactical sport is a big help to them. I also think that they are so confident now in their own ability that they can change it up and mix it up during the course of the game. What you're saying in that situation, maybe that was something that they had discussed in advance. This is going to be the last puck out. You go down and have a cut, and you never know what's going to happen.
Like, I'm not even saying it came from the sideline or came from training. I'd say the communication is so good around that defence at the moment. They are saying, you get out of the goal line here. If it goes over, it goes over. I'll deal with it. Get up the field, you. There's only one puck out. He might blow it.
Yeah.
Like he might have blown it.
But so is it coming from the players or is it coming from the management in advance?
There's some. Sure, you have to give the management credit. But like, surely that is down, lads, to players. And I thought my old team was decent at knowing. John, they'd read the old ref and we had old, bits of. I thought all the teams probably that. I think this crowd have taken it to another level.
But sure, none more evidence than Hayes' goal against Tip in the semi-final. 90% of the players going forward there would have even offloaded or done an early pass, but they keep going and they keep going. And it ultimately decided the game because it was so inspirational there was only going to be one winner. But that's players taken it by the scruff.
Oh, sure, that was the game over. Once that one went in, Flanagan's one, you'll probably say it's over.
But it was all over.
Once that went in. But like, he probably just... I'm only thinking now of what's going through. I'm the fastest man in this pitch.
Yeah. Why would I stop?
Who's going? Unless one of them comes out to meet me, and then what happened was Paddy Maher stayed with Jamie Flanagan, because Jamie kind of made out the decoy and he wasn't going to let him pop. Yeah. And sure, all of a sudden, Carl Barrett said, "Oh, Jeannie Mac, he's gone inside the 21." Like, and sure, like what a scored him with the hurley turned upside down. I hopped it twice off the ground. Like that's confidence, Don.
Yeah, big time.
No, I like, and that's what I'm saying about the layer upon layer about education. That's kind of happened over a period of time, and
you get better. The longer you're with him,
you get better.
There's no doubt about it.
But Dalo, if you were in the Cork dressing room this week of training, and you know Limerick like you know them right now, like, is there something? Have you a joke, right? Like, have you something? Have you a play? Have you a change? Have you something to throw here that could say?
Well, I think obviously starting Shane is a bit of a. Like it could be a game, you know what I mean? It was a question. I think you're unanimous, but I would have left him. I would have held him and hoped to be in the game, and then a springer. I just think what Seánie has alluded to, like, and what he said, like, you said it as well. They're layer on layer. I think Cork, when they start getting on that roll, like, and they weren't overly impressive. And you're right, Seánie, against Clare, they rode their luck a bit near the end. Probably should have seen it off that bit 5 minutes earlier. But then rode their luck, obviously great save from Collins, which I think another little layer is his confidence and that. And then Dublin, and you said it, TJ, probably did what they had to do with due respect to Dublin. They got it back to 4, but Niall O'Leary, I think Hoggy got a point, pushed out 5. Niall O'Leary then came up from cornerback. It was game over then. And then there was a huge Leinster. No matter what you say, we have said this all along this year, that Munster is stronger than Leinster at the moment. I think that's borne out 2 years in a row. But still Kilkenny, like, and I think they just have gone on. Like, Jack O'Connor now is realising, TJ, I'm well able for this crack. I'm better than all these fellas. I don't need to be a bit player here at all. I'm the man.
Yeah, I was going to say to Mark here, like, where's the balance for Cork? Really focusing on their own strengths versus looking at Cian Lynch, Kyle Hayes. Like, where's that balance?
I think if you get too caught up in Limerick, you're mistaken.
Yeah, but like Limerick are brilliant, lads. There's no point in me saying otherwise now. Like they look bomb-proof now. They just. I can't see any weakness in their team. They're not going to give up a whole pile of goal chances because you can't get their half-back line outside the 45-yard line. So that's going to make it very, very hard.
Caught up a few against Waterford, huh?
Yeah, but like in general, the 3 half-backs will sit inside the 45-yard line. And they say, you know what, give me look, they leave the boys out 70 or 80 yards and let them shoot from there like that. That is something that Cork will have to look at. I suppose, look, we're aware of the half-back line. Tom Morrissey got out Hegarty, like, I mean, they scored, was it 12 or 14 points from play last year in the All-Ireland Final, like, I mean, if we cough up those scores to them, you know, that's, we're going to be in big trouble, like, you know.
We've chatted this already, right? So the matchups, right? There's a couple we definitely know, right? Tim O'Mahony's definitely going to pick up Grove Hegarty.
Yeah.
Given.
That's a given.
That's
a given.
They could change that up now.
Who Limerick or Cork?
Limerick. But you call it, with your half-forward line. The half-back line never called it. The half-forward line have to call it. So Cadogan hurled Tom Morrissey off the field, really. Tom's quietest game. Tom's taken off 10 minutes in the second half.
Yeah.
So what strikes me about Owen Cadogan is he's the old-style defender. He doesn't really mind if he doesn't get 2 points in play and, you know, 7 clearances. His man doesn't do much. He's happy. Like, I thought when Walter Walsh came on him to that day, even while he wasn't getting any space, like, he put him back straight away. Like, he's an old-style raw defender, and so if I'm Kiley, I'm throwing Tom Morrissey in centre forward. I'm saying, take Coleman out of centre back, so, you know, I'm saying, do you bring on Cadogan centre back on Croke Park and Tom Morrissey, you know, who's in way better form now, who's back to his best, you'd say, like, that's a big curveball now.
I don't think it is a curveball, Anthony, because I think if you're the Cork management, you'll be putting on Cadogan and Tom Morrissey wherever he goes. Okay. And it won't be an issue because Mark Coleman didn't play at centre-back against Kilkenny. He played
but if you put Diego centre-forward, do you put Tim O'Mahony centre-back?
Tim O'Mahony has played 2 or 3 years as centre-back.
Of course he is, but he's never played as well as he is at 5. This attack and threat from 5 has been a new dimension. I think it's been hugely responsible for the 3 wins.
Yeah, it's part of it. It's part of the game plan. It's the new that one of your half-backs has to be bombing forward. Like,
and he has it. Like.
But like in coming back to the matchups, I think Cork will go 6 on 6. They will pick out their men. That's, you know.
We were forecasting Donoghue and Gillane.
No, sorry, just before you go away from that now, that to me is something that I think Limerick will definitely have to look at because O'Donoghue has had it on Gillane. Will they try and get Gillane off of Sean O'Donoghue?
How do you on the full back line? You know?
I don't think so. Inside line.
Yeah. I think Gillane and Flanagan, like, they just play those roles exceptionally well. Yeah. I can't see them change.
Will Limerick try to get Gillane off of Sean O'Donoghue?
I don't think so.
Right, fair enough. Yeah.
I don't think Gillane didn't play particularly well the first day. Like, that's why kind of really he was dropped for the months of final. But his form is way better now. Gillane or Hoggy. I will hear the last day. I thought he was good.
Okay.
Gillane or Hoggy didn't score from play that day. But like Downey on Shane Flanagan. So one of the ones that Cork could throw is, could they throw Niall O'Leary onto Cian Lynch in a man-marking role and a little bit different to the months final?
Could.
They could.
Who goes back then?
Well, they could on the basis of trying to get Coleman as free as they can. I think Dara Fitz's form has been mixed today. They'll need a big performance.
6 the last day, I think, Seánie.
Correct.
6 stomach on morning.
I just thought he was motoring as well this year anyway, right?
Yeah.
And he's been a huge player for Cork over the last couple of years. Donoghue and Darragh Donovan do incredible work and they're so integral to the whole game plan that Limerick play and the unselfish stuff that Will O'Donoghue does. I'd say that stuff on him is off the wall, you know, off the wall I'd say,
Sean,
and his energy levels.
I'm doing a small bit on him for Sunday,
right?
So I took clips from the games just this year and didn't go back.
Yeah.
5 minutes 26 I send up to Páirc Uí.
Yeah.
He's Dalo, you'll only get about a minute. Like, obviously that's...
Yeah.
I said, we can't lose that. We can't.
But we
spent Thursday fighting like that.
This is all influential stuff, like.
Small stuff as well, though.
Okay.
Flicks, getting back, hitting, clearing the rucks. You know, not a free, like. Mark is in the ruck with the two. So Marcus, so he comes in, shoulder to shoulder, he shifts Mark, and TJ goes away with the ball.
Comes away with the ball.
And the point I'm making, is it necessarily a matchup like TJ's asking, who'll do this, who'll do that? It's more, can Cork put pressure on Donoghue by getting Fitzy's form back? If Darragh Fitz gets his form back, runs at him, he has that Rolls Royce engine that when he gets going, pop pass or the finish. I think if Fitzy's form comes back, and if we can get whatever way we can, and it could be with O'Leary going out on Cian Lynch, it could be, get the ball to Coleman, get Coleman free, and try and expose Hoggy inside with Dan Morrissey. That could be the little nugget that Cork could try.
There you go. We'll be speculating all night.
Yeah, but this is the big thing, Dale. Like, that's. I mean, I was just thinking about the game. My whole week has been actually, how would the 6 backs go? What are they going to do? Who's going to mark who?
But Mark, the game is so fluid. Like Billy Ryan was corner back. He ended up on Rob. And then he went up in corner forward. Fellas are moving so much that sometimes you'd know he got 4 points off him. You meet the boys down the field. I mean, Rob down the field. You say, Rob, Trey was only on for 20 minutes.
even though the paper will say number 13 is back, you could have spent all the game. And again, like the Flanagan Gillan and
we
Peter
saw the
Casey.
examiner on a Thursday morning. We knew we were marking each other.
Yeah, that was it. I got 5 off Dalo. That was it.
You started on Frank. You started on Frank.
You see that?
That was a hot day, that was.
But I think we all kind of agreed that Mark Coleman won't play centre back on Cian Lynch.
I think he might. I think he might.
Well,
they have to get a handle on Cian Lynch.
This is the game plan.
So?
Like, did it
I
well?
like TJ's one. I like that one, TJ.
Yeah.
I like Niall. I think he's onto something there. I don't know. I just think they'll mark him with someone like O'Leary.
Like in the semi-final against Kilkenny, Jor O'Leary went centre back. Mark Coleman went out right half back on John Donnelly, and Mark Coleman left John Donnelly out the field, and Mark sweeped in across the half back line into the full back line, because I think Cork felt they could afford to leave John Donnelly alone. You can't afford to leave Tom Morrissey alone. If they'll play with that, that means Cadigan goes centre back on Cian Lynch, Mark goes, and then I think Conor Cahalan, if he's marking Kyle Hayes on that side of the field, will be asked to drop back in front of Tom Morrissey. That potentially, and then that leaves O'Leary back in cornerback with Mark and Casey, and you don't have a whole pile of changes to your team. The gambling side of it would be Coleman goes back on Casey, which a lot, because Casey will come out the field, and Limerick will want a 2-man inside line, and Cork might take a chance. Okay, let's cough up a couple of points here to Casey, but we want Mark Coleman to be able to cut off maybe some of that ball coming across, and Niall O'Leary goes out in Cian Lynch, and you leave your matchups. Cadigan goes on Morrissey, Garrod on Hegarty.
The only flip one there, I would say, is that they could leave maybe one of the midfielders free, and let's say if they played Conor Cahalan and maybe possibly Luke Mead in the middle of the field, that they would help out with the centre back rather than that, right? Yeah. So rather than leaving someone like a Peter Casey free, you might end up leaving maybe a Will O'Donoghue. That's what they did in the first round, where Ger Mellerick was marking Will O'Donoghue, but he dropped back.
So Huggy and Jack O'Connor are 2 up.
Yeah.
And
working from there then.
Yeah. Shane Kingston coming to
Shane Kingston
wing
coming,
centre.
yeah. Darragh Fitzgibbon could be maybe along that half-forward line, or maybe a little bit more forward.
Yeah, might they play him centre?
Fitzy?
Yeah, possible.
They could. I'd like to listen in another curveball. I know he's left half back. Who's going to mark Kyle Hayes? Imagine being on Kyle Hayes. Imagine Kingston got out the team. 10, whatever. On Kyle Hayes.
The bombing forward, number 7. Remember it was. Yeah.
Isn't it though? Like, he's incredible.
I know. But look,
Jack O'Connor, Daly probably wouldn't have suited Joe either, I'd say. Would he?
Jenny Mecca to become a big Frank! That was a regular one of mine. Frank!
Yeah.
I could go back in Old Connor handy enough, like, to be going.
Yeah.
That was a different game altogether. She wouldn't do it.
Jack, I'll give you a small bit of advice, Jack, yeah. And a little bit of a warning to go with it. When we'll be fine.
Yeah. We'll have to start in the prayer.
Yeah.
Like, don't load. We've 48 of them. Tis magic to look forward. I suppose all year we've been looking at our fantasy hurling. Larry is normally the king. He's smiling over there. He looks out of it. The Kenyan looks gone this year, but it looks like it's only going up the road to Laura. And we look at, this is the situation. Ken Hogan, 12.53. Larry is there, but I think he isn't much of a captain left, is he? Gone. No captain. TJ.
Outside chance.
You'll be hoping Limerick to win and Hoggy to get 3-10. The captain gets double points.
So, do you know Hoggy's no goal scorer in the championship?
There you go. And do you know he might be due a big one, Johnny?
Yeah, he only got 6 to less.
Do you know? Yeah, but I know.
But it's an interesting point, though. Like his leadership has, like, your man is 3-9. Shane, Mark has Jack O'Connor 2-9. It is another dimension to Cork hurling this year, that there is a bit of, as well as he's playing, a bit of dependency taken off him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, look, you get to a certain stage in your career too, you need
carrying
him long enough.
Absolutely, but, you know.
And Dooney's almost getting there, you know, so, yeah, we fancy Ken, but TJ, I think you might have an outside chance. And
outside chance, yeah.
Down the bottom again, although...
Not off, I'm off the bottom. That is...
Hoagie is definitely for the
We've a new man for the wooden spoon.
The wooden spoon is heading to All-Ireland Gales. And Seánie, you have a team in this for next year, I said. I showed you the ropes. I won the league, and I said I will win the championship. But I made a few changes then, like, and sure, man, I'm up pesty now.
That's easy enough.
And I've Aaron Gillan as captain for the weekend.
He slipped me.
He's good. Lads, we'll we'll have to call it, I suppose. We're here on the park by the Lee, like, you know, and TJ's here on his own. And my ref is over there as well. And there's a Limerick cameraman there as well.
What do you mean he's on his own? Aren't you half a Limerick man? After Wallace left, who's the fella who brought all the young fellas through from Limerick?
I'm going to ask you, as a neutral, where do you see the most influential battle? Like which is the one that Cork have to win?
Cork have to win. I would nearly say Hoggy has to have a huge day. And I don't want to be adding pressure to a player I've admired so much for. But I just feel it'll need a kind of a Hoggy special day. And then the other lads kind of really growing off that and say, lads, this fella's winning his All-Ireland and we're going to, like, you know, but that's not, Dan Morrissey's very steady. Very steady. Like, Dan Morrissey might say, Hoggy can get 4 from play. And I can foul him once, and I still have a good day. Do you know, which is like, this is the way the game has gone. Like,
yeah.
I mean, back then, if your man got 4 from play back in our day, you'd be so, gee, I lost it from. Do you know? And I just think that. And look, there's so many other ones you can pick out. I think the Cadigan Tom Morrissey one. Like, the Morrisseys of a hand are proud people as well. They know. They'll be saying, I don't care if he's named tonight. I ain't standing. I was a contender for Hurler of the Year last year. So, do you know, and the Cadigans are too. Do you know? And the Douglas lads were huge the last day for Cork. So, look, it's so many different things, TJ. I'm going to call out. I think Limerick will win. I think the only chance Cork have, is Limerick can be a bit of a shoot on site team, right? They get a bit of space for Hago, for Morrissey, for Keane, Aaron Gillane over the shoulder ones, right? And against Waterford last year, in the middle of winter, they flew over and it was just unbelievable to watch. Now, the Munster semi-final, the wides, like, they all had 2 foot wides, 3 foot wides, couple of long range frees. Like, I think if Limerick have an off shooting day, Cork have a big chance. But if Limerick kind of hit the 65%, 68 up, percentage of their shots, it's very hard to beat.
224, I think, Dalo, which is like 30 points. Like, so it's very,
I think it'll take a bit of an off day. Cork have improved out of all measurements. You know, I will say that. Huge credit to the Cork players and management. I just think Limerick going to do 3 out of 4.
Like, for me, Limerick have improved. They have improved a fair bit, right? And I think there's still more in the tank from what they played against Waterford in the semi-final. I think Cork have improved immensely more in comparison to what their form was in the start of the year. They strung 3 championship matches together. Victories.
That's what you asked for, consistency.
Consistency. And I think the players themselves have said it. Darragh Fitzgibbon was interviewed earlier on in the year, and that's the word that he used as well. And Kieran has constantly used the word consistency of performance is what they want. Now they have got the victories. The other thing is the manners of the victories, Anthony. 6 points up against Clare, were dragged back to be losing by a point. Then with 6 points up again and nearly lost it at the end. That victory has given them huge impetus. I also think that the Kilkenny match the last day, I think they will have improved significantly from that as well, because their last quarter, and particularly their extra time, was brilliant. So for me, the momentum has gone with Cork. It's all red at the moment. 2 under-21s. With a small bit of luck, we might win the All-Ireland minor. And I can tell you, if Cork hurled Sunday the way the under-20s hurled on Wednesday night, I think we'll win.
You're going with Cork.
Fight and talk.
But they're fighting
but
talk.
They need to hurl.
The two of them all even now.
There is.
This 99 stuff is breaking out.
And we probably will be listening. Like, I think the Cork under 17 team look particularly strong, right?
Did you hear your man when at the homecoming after the few jars there, and he said, well, we'd 4 matches in 9 weeks. No, they don't even. We'd 8 matches in 9 weeks. Or grand, we got a week off.
The rebel treble could be 3 and 5 days. 3 and 5 days, yeah, whatever it is. This Corkness is definitely growing, and the wave, as Marky says here, is definitely a factor. Look, we are fortunate, we have an exceptional team at the moment, right? And like, to even, like, from a Limerick point of view, be talking about 3 in 4 years is just incredible. Like, you need to be an exceptional team. They've taken everything that's been thrown at them, like, day in, day out, different scenarios. They're on field ability to think and change and just find a way is incredible. It's difficult to see this team getting beaten by Cork. I think at the moment Cork are improving, but I think we're still ahead of them. I think we're still ahead of the curve. I do think it's going to be tight and tactical, Dalo. I think the first quarter could be very tense. I say it could be cat and mousey. I think that there will be a lot of mind in possession. You could see a little bit of Cork stuff, as I said, at the back being played around. It'll take time to open up. There might be a small bit of a fear factor from Limerick that if you do a full press, that you could leave yourself a small bit exposed. That'll be the interesting piece for me. But look, I've said already that we will wipe the Corkness off this fella and we'll win by 3 points on Sunday.
3?
Yeah, 3.
I thought it was a 10.
I thought he was going to say they're covering a handicap anyway.
No, 3. Tense game. No, it's the good Cork team, plenty of pace there.
Sean, my friend, after the Grand Parade, is that where you bring it back to? It's so long since you brought it back, I can't remember. Will it be Mark Foley be on the blow now? He wouldn't watch this. He wouldn't lower himself to watch this. He's pulling teeth at the moment. He's pulling these on. But come here. Will it be going back to the Glyn Clubhouse that night?
No, up to Hoggy.
Yeah.
Will he be bringing it up Blackpool? We have a ferocious chance. My fear is when TJ asked about different players that could decide, Gerard O'Reilly could decide it because I think his form he's still been integral in loads of ways. Pop has to get out for the goal, but he's due a big game. And despite in addition to the 224 or whatever that TJ said they're averaging, imagine getting an informed Gerard Hegarty back on top of that. So that would be my fear. Got to keep him quiet and keep him out of the game. Look, All-Ireland finals have a funny thing, they do funny things, and sometimes players that you don't expect to come alive do things. You've got your Fogarty years ago for Kilkenny, and you had Walter Walsh when he burst on the scene with 1-3.
Mark O'Leary.
Well,
Fergie Toohey.
Yeah, Corey got 3 or 4, did he?
Four low scoring one, like what a day. Like.
No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying though is that it could be a marquee player that does that.
Yeah.
Not maybe one of the lesser lights. I have a feeling it could be a Hoggy that does it. I think it's made for him. And I'm not saying this isn't putting any pressure because that guy doesn't do pressure. I really think he could completely alive on Sunday, and he could be the deciding factor. I'm pitching for Cork slightly, point or two, on the basis that he comes alive. But TJ's point is so valid. It's been so hard to do back-to-backs. All the teams in the last couple of years, the Tipperaries, the Galways, they couldn't do it. These fellas were very unlucky not to do it, to be honest, in 19. They're on the cusp of greatness. They genuinely are. It's not just, giving them lip service. It's been an exceptional couple of years out of Limerick.
2 is great now, not 3 to mine. 2 is great. That's none of that.
Well, you were unlucky 96.
Well, I think what's been a little help there, lads, has been the whole COVID. Like the last one was won in December. We're here in August. The other one is to be won nice and quickly again, like. Yeah. Do you know?
Yeah.
I think it's been a bit of a help.
Fair point.
Do you know? The quick turnaround. They got a break.
Yeah.
You know?
I think if Cork get the quick ball approach going quickly, get it into the danger zone quickly, don't get sucked into this dangerous or this kind of attritional physical game, move the ball quickly, they have a great chance. Easier said than done.
Yeah, so it's
hit and run. And I'm not telling him what your hit and run is about. Come on.
Declan Hannon, Dalo, he's having his little private conversation. Declan Hannon has an opportunity to do something beyond the beyond, something that was unbelievable.
Only Ringy has ever done.
Yeah. So, great opportunity for Limerick, and as I said, just fortunate to have an exceptional team.
Yeah, great captain as well.
Great captain,
and
just the way he plays that role.
And the last day, I thought,
we
didn't see him up the field as often.
Massively important player to the setup, like.
Sure, great forward in these days. So why wouldn't he go up the field? So
it's a sign of all the Limerick fellas. Why you can play.
Come on, Marco, you have a few announcements.
Just a couple of things.
The Killer Golf Classic, is that over?
Well, no, it's actually the 1st, 2nd and 4th of September. 4 days.
4 days.
Get your team into the match.
You're milking it. You're milking it.
25-year anniversary.
Is the tax bar still open?
It is. We're opening up especially for you, Dalo. I expect the 2 of you to be there.
Marco?
2 to score.
Champagne scramble, 3 to drive. I have a team going in if you want.
Team of 3?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The Lechico player. Dodgy.
I'm talking about myself.
I come down for the apricot.
You're more than welcome. A couple of clubs, Passage West GA club have been on. They've done the All-Ireland Hurling Predictor quiz last year, so they're on again this year. We'll put up the information there. Maybe Larry might do it. And also, I was contacted during the week as well from Douglas and St James's Artfield have a draw for Win a Gaff, as well as it's called, in West Cork. Danny O'Keefe from Bandon has won the 2 tickets, Dalo. and he's getting a night in the Hilton Hotel as well. But there also is a house actually in the draw as well, so that hasn't been drawn yet. So they're just trying to give it a plug there. So we'll get that information up again.
We'll give all the days before the podcast taking calls from various fundraising committees. Marco, are you doing a pod?
Exactly. Yeah, which was fair play.
So
Somebody's listening.
Have we 2 tickets there? What's the story there, right?
2 tickets. Very good.
Flash it up there, lads, will you? So, winner of a pair of Roisin, I can't see it with the camera. Roisin Condon.
Yeah.
We don't know where Roisin's from now, but we'll show Roisin, well done.
Is she a Cork?
I don't know, Condon. Could be Limerick too, Condon. They'll be there. The Pierce there was Condon.
We don't know.
Tom Condon. Knock it down.
Throw back in again.
Yeah. Rafe, you drew them out yourself, so well done in that. Small little victory for Limerick down here tonight. Lads, been a pleasure. I suppose we're about the hour and 3/4 marks, which is good for us, Seánie. And I suppose look at enjoy it. You have more of a vested interest in me, but I'm on duty and I'll be calling it. So the suit is collected, Marco.
In fairness, though, you're after losing a few pounds. I'd say you're after.
I'm saying that for the last 3 months. You're after a week of leaves now, kid. The grub was good up there.
Put the book.
We'll be hoping there's no hay bales on the road and stuff on the way up on Sunday morning.
Myself and Dylan, so we're driving the truck.
You're driving the truck, yeah, you're okay. Those bales are delivered.
Past Mitchelstown, you'll be safe enough. The Cork crowd will be just joining you there at that point.
Go on, we're going up to Sully for a pint in Clancy's. So,
absolutely. Sully's here we come. And Monty, your old buddy Monty.
Sure, and Sully's the men around Clancy's, but Monty, 2 great clearmen down, keeping the old thing going here on Cork. Mighty men. So, lads, to all our listeners, just thanks so much, and we'll see you again on Monday. The interest in the podcast has been just blowing us away. So, and we are only talking like we will above in Clancy's now in a few minutes. So, thanks a million, and have a great weekend. Enjoy it, whether you can get there. If you can, you're privileged. If you can't, still make a day of it. Enjoy it. Sit down, and it should be a bank holiday the Monday after every All-Ireland Hurling Final. Sorry for the football crew on the podcasts, Paul Rouse, etc. Thanks, guys.
With Renault, passion for what drives you. Official car partner of the GAA.
A grain of rice. A grain of rice is going to tip the scale. Just remember that, lad. There's a small bit of a needle there.
Come on, Mayo, you've got to get Andy Moran into the game.
Our mission was to show.